Hello everyone, JD here, and welcome to this week's Talking News. I hope everyone has had a good week so far, and I wonder how many of you experienced Wednesday's solar eclipse. It was quite an unusual moment with light changing across the island and moon covered much of the sun. Whether you were watching it, listening to a description of what was happening, or simply noticed the change around you, it was certainly something a little different for a Wednesday evening. August has been one of those strange months because it's a little quieter around the building, but there's always plenty happening behind the scenes. We're developing our autumn fundraising and events program, including our murder mystery event, our story writing competition at the end of the year, and we are one of the charities for the classic car show this year. And not to forget, in a few weeks is our Snowdon excursion, where we're going to be risk assessing it for our future fundraising adventure. We also have started a project with Past Futures, which is picking up and recounting the history of the Isle of Wight Society for the Blind and its members over the past 160 years. So next week I'll be visiting the Isle of Wight Record Office to explore some more of the island's history around sight loss, eye care, and alongside that we continue to develop all the accessibility schemes of work that we're doing. I hope you will take care and look forward to seeing you all again in September.
Here is this week's charity news, 10th of August 2026. Just a reminder that all member activities have now stopped for August and will reopen on Tuesday the 1st of September. Please note that the office here at Millbrook will remain open throughout the month, so please call or pop in and see us if you need any help and advice.
Next Saturday, the 22nd of August, the family of the late Reenie Badger, a member of Mix and Mingle for many years, are holding a blind football match and Victoria Recreation Ground, Newport, between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. There will be refreshments on sale and everyone is very welcome to pop along and show your support to the family.
In September, we will once again be holding our ride, that's R/EYE/D, the White Sponsored Cycle Ride. Staff, volunteers and members will clock up the miles and be displayed within the hallway at Millbrook. If you or a family member enjoy cycling, please ask them to get sponsorship, or maybe suggest they ride to work one day and donate their travel money. If you would like a sponsor form, please call the office and we can arrange for one to be sent to you.
Our annual short story writing competition is now live, and this year the theme is Love, Hope and Courage. Adult stories should be between 1,500 and 2,000 words. Children's stories at 12 to 17 age up to 750 words, 8 to 11 years up to 500 words, and under 8s up to 250 words, and pictures can be used. For more details or for an entry form, please call the office and speak to Chris. This could be your summer project while the activities are on break, or encourage grandchildren and family members to enter. Lots of lovely prizes on offer too.
This is Den reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Buses to return to Haven Street after 11-year absence. Buses are returning to an Isle of Wight village for the first time in 11 years. The new number 33 service will reconnect Haven Street to both Ryde and Newport, as well as the island's wider public transport network. Company Hall has said it will address social isolation of the rural community, a long-standing concern of Haven Street and Ashy Parish Council, HAPC. Councillor Tony Barry, who chairs HAPC and sits as a Reform UK Isle of Wight Council member, said success has come much sooner than could possibly have been anticipated. The news comes just over a year since HAPC launched its bus user survey as the first step in a campaign to get Haven Street back onto the island's bus network, he said. Haven Street has not had a bus service since 2015. The proposal to introduce the number 33 has been developed in partnership with Southern Vectis and the Isle of Wight Steam Railway, according to a report from County Hall's Transport Strategy Manager Stuart Chandler. The timetable for the route, which is anticipated to open on September the 28th, has been designed to operate between home to school bus services on Mondays to Fridays during term time. During weekends, public holidays and school holidays, the number 33 will run with 2 extra journeys. Funding is to come in part from the Department of Transport, and the Isle of Wight Steam Railway will cover the costs for one of the weekend operating days. The proposal to introduce the number 33 costs £55,000 per year for 2026 to 27 and 2027 to 28 between Monday to Friday, including public and school holidays. A total of £26,000 has been costed for Saturdays and Sundays. Councillor Barry said a timetable and information leaflet will be delivered to residents before the service gets underway.
Extra evening buses and frequent Isle of Wight services secured with government funding from the Island Echo. Additional evening bus journeys to Ventnor and Allen Bay are set to continue as part of plans to use government funding to support several key Isle of Wight routes. The decision, which was made at the end of July, will see the revenue element of the Department for Transport's Bus Services Fund for 26-27 and 27-2028 used to provide continued financial support for Southern Vectis services 5, 6, 8 and 12. Funding will support additional evening journeys on Service 6 between Newport and Ventnor from Mondays to Saturdays. The route serves Gatcombe, Chillerton, Chale, Knighton and Whitwell. Additional evening journeys on Service 12 will also continue to receive financial backing from Mondays to Saturdays. The service operates between Newport and Allen Bay via Shorewell, Bryston, Brook, Freshwater Bay and Totland. Services 6 and 12 will receive continued support during the winter period between October and March to maintain a consistent operation based on current service levels. Meanwhile, funding will be used to maintain the half-hourly frequency of Service 8 between Newport and Sandown. Financial support will also continue to maintain the 16-minute frequency of Service 5 between Newport and East Cowes. The measures will be funded through the revenue element of the Department for Transport's Bus Services Fund, covering 26, 27 and 2027 to 28. The amount of funding allocated to each service and the total value of the financial support outlined in the decision is not provided in the information supplied. Cancer patients emotionally drained by mainland treatment. Health Watch report finds. From Isle of Wight Radio. Cancer patients travelling to the mainland for treatment say the experience is leaving them emotionally drained, according to a new report. Health Watch Isle of Wight has published its latest review of feedback about health and social care services on the island. It covers the period from June the 13th to July the 12th, with almost 60% of the 154 responses received described as negative. Cancer services and GP practices were among the biggest areas of concern. Health Watch received almost 30 negative responses about cancer services, with some patients highlighting the difficulties of travelling to the mainland for treatment. One person said travel for cancer treatment was stressful, especially when appointments were outside Daisy bus times and buses took about an hour. They said it was terrible as I felt very ill. I wanted to give up and I had more than I could cope with. Another said travelling to the mainland while suffering from cancer-related fatigue was exhausting. They told Health Watch this has been a disgrace for a long time. GP services also received largely negative feedback, including concerns about privacy and dignity at one island practice. Parents also reported a poor experience with children's mental health services. One resident described the service as absolutely shocking, claiming that parents were not being listened to. But it wasn't all negative. Dentistry, pharmacy, and A&E services were among those receiving mostly positive feedback. One person praised Regent Pharmacy in Shanklin, saying they are all amazing and always go above and beyond. The feedback has been collected through Healthwatch Isle of Wight's community engagement programme. People can share their experiences through events and community hubs, as well as social media, partner and voluntary organisations, post, telephone, online, face-to-face, text and email. The NHS has been approached for a comment.
This is Den reading an article from the Island Echo. New sign marks latest milestone for Newport Retail Park. Newport's newest retail park is beginning to look the part as it moves closer to completion, with a large sign now in place showcasing the 6 big-name businesses preparing to open their doors. The latest visible milestone at the former Newport Isle of Wight Football Club ground off St George's Way comes as construction continues at pace ahead of the development welcoming shoppers later this year. Aldi, B&M, McDonald's, Costa Coffee, Wren Kitchens and Superdrug are all displayed on the newly erected sign, giving islanders passing the site a glimpse of what the finished retail park will offer. The sign also displays the name Newport Retail Park. It had previously been thought that the development would be known as St George's Retail Park. As previously reported by Island Echo, B&M and Superdrug were the final 2 retailers to be confirmed for the site, joining Aldi, Wren, Kitchens, Costa Coffee and McDonald's. The unit now destined for Superdrug had originally been earmarked for Hobbycraft, suggesting hopes of bringing the arts and craft retailer to the Isle of Wight for the first time have been shelved. Questions remain over what the arrival of B&M and Superdrug at Newport Retail Park will mean for the brand's existing Newport High Street stores. It remains unclear whether B&M intends to relocate from its existing store in the former BHS building or continue operating 2 Isle of Wight branches. Likewise, there has been no indication as to whether Superdrug will retain its current Newport Town Centre store. Should both retailers move out of the high street, it would leave 2 more prominent retail units vacant in Newport Town Centre. No official opening date has yet been announced, although shoppers should expect to be heading to Newport Retail Park by December.
Cancer patients emotionally drained by mainland treatment, Health Watch report finds. From Isle of Wight Radio. Cancer patients travelling to the mainland for treatment say the experience is leaving them emotionally drained, according to a new report. Health Watch Isle of Wight has published its latest review of feedback about health and social care services on the island. It covers the period from June the 13th to July the 12th, with almost 60% of the 154 responses received described as negative. Cancer services and GP practices were among the biggest areas of concern. Health Watch received almost 30 negative responses about cancer services, with some patients highlighting the difficulties of travelling to the mainland for treatment. One person said travel for cancer treatment was stressful, especially when appointments were outside Daisy bus times and buses took about an hour. They said it was terrible as I felt very ill. I wanted to give up. I had more than I could cope with. Another said travelling to the mainland while suffering from cancer-related fatigue was exhausting. They told Health Watch this has been a disgrace for a long time. GP services also received largely negative feedback, including concerns about privacy and dignity at one island practice. Parents also reported a poor experience with children's mental health services. One resident described the service as absolutely shocking, claiming that parents were not being listened to. But it wasn't all negative. Dentistry, pharmacy, and A&E services were among those receiving mostly positive feedback. One person praised Regent Pharmacy in Shanklin, saying they are all amazing and always go above and beyond. The feedback has been collected through Health Watch Isle of Wight's community engagement programme. People can share their experiences through events and community hubs, as well as social media, partner and voluntary organisations, post, telephone, online, face-to-face, text and email. The NHS has been approached for a comment.
This is the second part of the Talking News, read by Jerry
and Lynn.
And we start with a call to dog owners after sheep killed in attacks by Oliver Dyer. 2 sheep have died after dog owners failed to heed warnings, leading to further attacks near Carisbrooke Castle. Less than a year after Newport woman Denise Dover-Vallender made a heartfelt plea to dog owners through the county press, there has been another spate of attacks. Kate Lewis from Group Drone SAR for Lost Dogs said, Denise should not have to keep dealing with this. This has gone far beyond simply asking people to be more responsible. Kate said one sheep was put to sleep last week because the injuries it suffered in a dog attack was so horrific. A second sheep was put to sleep on Monday. Denise has kept her sheep in the field next to the castle for nearly 8 years. A public footpath crosses the field, and Denise believes walkers assume it is empty and let their dogs run free. Denise has previously said she loves dogs and they are not the problem. She wants owners to take responsibility. Don't just let them off the lead and let them do what they want and then let the farmers pick up the pieces, she said last year. After the first attack, years ago, 22 adult sheep died within 4 days, some mauled to death and others from shock. Kate added, we don't care if your dog has brilliant recall. We don't care if it normally is friendly. We don't care if they've walked past sheep 100 times before without reacting. It only takes one time. And please don't dismiss chasing as harmless either. A dog doesn't necessarily have to physically attack a sheep to cause devastating injuries or distress. It is a criminal offence for a dog to actively worry livestock, and owners can be prosecuted. A police spokesman said, we have had a number of reports of sheep being attacked and injured by dogs in the fields surrounding Carisbrooke Castle in the last 9 months. No one has been identified as being responsible at this time. However, we urge anyone with information to report this to police. We also urge dog owners to make themselves aware of the law and the risks associated with livestock worrying. It is a criminal offence for a dog to actively worry livestock, and dog owners risk prosecution.
A warship is found over a century later. The wreck of a Royal Navy warship, which sank off the Isle of Wight more than a century ago, has been discovered by divers. HMS Tiger, a torpedo boat destroyer, was lost on April the 2nd, 1908, after colliding with the cruiser HMS Berwick during nighttime training exercises. The vessel strayed into the path of the much larger and heavier cruiser and was cut in two, with no time for either ship to take evasive action. Its bow section sank immediately, taking the captain and several crew members with it. The damaged stern remained afloat for about 3 minutes before disappearing beneath the waves as well. Fewer than half of Tiger's 57-strong crew survived the disaster, which made front-page news at the time. King Edward VII sent a telegram of sympathy, and commemorative postcards were later produced in memory of those who died. The Royal Navy and shipwreck hunters have been looking for Tiger since the day it sank. On Monday, it was announced that the wreck has finally been found, some 118 years later, by Project Explore, a team of shipwreck historians and divers who spent 5 years trying to find its likely location. Leo Fielding and Dan McMullen, co-organisers, said, "It has been the privilege of a lifetime to research, discover and document the wreck of HMS Tiger. We sincerely hope that our work will ensure that HMS Tiger, her story and the memory of those connected with her endure for future generations." They added that the group welcomed proposed changes in the new Armed Forces Bill to strengthen protection for military wrecks. The government is considering expanding powers under the Protection of Military Remains Act, which currently safeguards vessels lost within the past 200 years. Under the proposals, newly discovered military wrecks, including HMS Tiger, could receive an automatic protected place designation, making it an offence to disturb or remove items from the site without permission. Divers would still be allowed to visit wrecks under a look but don't touch approach. Minister for the Armed Forces, Louise Sander-Jones, said the proposals would give lost sailors the dignity and respect they deserve. And there is a picture of Riccardo Constantino laying a wreath on the tiller of HMS Tiger.
Primary school could be demolished under plans. A school may be demolished and redeveloped to deliver a modern and fit-for-purpose educational facility. Wilmot Dixon Construction has submitted a proposal to demolish existing buildings at 9 Acres Community Primary in Newport and construct a new 2-storey building on behalf of the Department for Education, DfE. Temporary accommodation, access arrangements and playing field provision will be established during the construction phase to allow the school's continued operation according to an application form. A design and access statement from HNW Architects says, "The existing school buildings are in poor condition and no longer meet the needs of the local community or current DfE building standards. The current layout also presents operational and safety concerns, including vehicle movements through the site where delivery vehicles must pass through the playground area. Redevelopment will deliver a fit-for-purpose facility for the primary and Little Acres Nursery, property consultant Vile Williams told planners. Capacity for 420 pupils and 45 nursery places will be maintained under the plans, which also include changes to access and parking arrangements, as well as landscaping improvements. Temporary accommodation will be provided on the existing playing field. The scheme will replace an outdated structure with a purpose-built school designed to meet contemporary educational standards and the requirements of the Department for Education, whilst maintaining the existing educational use and capacity of the site, a planning statement said. Viola Williams said, evidence put forward shows the development can be implemented without unacceptable impacts relating to design, transport, residential, amenity, flood risk, drainage, ecology, biodiversity, arboriculture, heritage or archaeology. Significant environmental benefits of the scheme include a highly energy efficient all-electric building capable of achieving net zero carbon in operation, alongside substantial biodiversity enhancements. Once completed, the development will provide better educational accommodation, improved external spaces, and a more sustainable school environment for pupils, staff, and the wider community, the consultancy said. Members of the public have until September the 14th to comment on application 26/01066/FUL, which is due a decision on November the 10th. And you can go to Public Portal UK to find details of Isle of Wight planning applications and other public notices near you via clickable and searchable interactive map.
A major boost for the Isle of Wight ambulance service in latest CQC report. The Isle of Wight ambulance service has been praised for faster responses, stronger leadership and compassionate care after inspectors upgraded 2 of its services from requires improvement to good. The Care Quality Commission raised the Isle of Wight NHS Trust's ratings for its Emergency Operations Centre and Patient Transport Service after inspections in February. Urgent and emergency care retained its overall rating of good. The ambulance service, which serves around 140 residents, was inspected to assess progress since previous visits. Inspectors upgraded the Emergency Operations Centre's ratings for effectiveness and leadership from requires improvement to good, while all other areas remained good. The Patient Transport Service also improved, with its safety and leadership ratings raised to good. Inspectors upgraded Urgent and Emergency Care's well-led rating from requires improvement to good, after finding leadership had improved. Among the strongest findings was the support provided by call handlers and clinicians in the Emergency Operations Centre. Inspectors said staff offered outstanding care to people in distress, with one caller expressing relief after being told a paramedic would stay on the phone until an ambulance arrived. The report highlighted the service's network of community first responders who provide life-saving treatment across the island before the ambulance crew arrives. The CQC found the Trust was reaching patients more quickly, with average response times for the most serious Cat 1 incidents falling from 10 minutes in November 2025 to 8. Inspectors praised staff for treating patients and relatives with kindness and empathy, while innovation was improving services. Inspectors said a new safeguarding referral process had cut administration and freed more staff to answer emergency calls. Patients also praised the transport service as a caring and compassionate service that treated them with dignity and respect. The report highlighted agreements with ferry operators that help ensure reliable journeys to mainland hospitals and reduce delays. Inspectors also praised crews for going beyond their core duties by making patients tea, turning on heating when taking them home, and adapting care for people with dementia.
Lifeboat joins fleet at naming ceremony. A new lifeboat has joined the RNLI fleet. Bembridge Lifeboat Station has welcomed its 11th D-Class inshore lifeboat, D912 Sue, which replaces the outgoing D778 Norman Harvey after 11 years of service. A naming ceremony took place on August the 1st to mark the occasion. The lifeboat has been named in honour of Sue Cornish and was funded through a generous donation from the Michael Cornish Charitable Trust. Nigel Hartley, High Sheriff of the Isle of Wight, said, "I'm delighted to represent the Michael Cornish Charitable Trust for the naming and dedication of this D-class lifeboat. Being High Sheriff for the last 3 months, I see good people doing good things on a day-to-day basis, and the RNLI here in Bembridge is no exception. I know the trustees are overjoyed to hand this lifeboat officially to the care of the RNLI. Ryan Hall, Deputy Director of Life-Saving Operations at the RNLI, expressed his gratitude to those working at the station. Mr. Hall says, "As we look at the men and women here at Bembridge Lifeboat Station that represent this community, I am proud to stand here and accept the lifeboat on behalf of the organisation. We are immensely proud of those that give up their time to volunteer here. The RNLI and the island community are very grateful for all that you do. We are indebted to the trust that have so generously funded this lifeboat, and we would like to express our thanks to Michael Cornish Charitable Trust. I know this lifeboat will give our crews outstanding service and keep them safe for years to come." The day also saw recognition for crew members involved in a major rescue on July the 22nd, 2025. Guy Willing, John Attrell, Andy Sibley, Steve Jones and Alex Sibley received the RNLI Chief Executive's commendation for saving 13 teenagers and 2 adults from a 33-metre vessel taking on water in rough conditions. Service awards were given to Guy Willing for 20 years, Richard Bishop for 30 years and Mark Thwaites for 40 years of service.
A dog owner spared jail after attack. A dog owner has been spared prison after her Belgian Shepherd attacked 3 people, leaving an elderly woman with an injury that needed 22 stitches. Karen Cruz of Queen's Road in Freshwater appeared for sentencing at the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on August the 4th. The 58-year-old pleaded guilty to 3 charges of being in charge of a dangerously out-of-control dog that caused injury. Prosecutor Christian Finley said police were called to Queen's Road at around 9:55 a.m. on December the 16th, following reports that a Belgian Shepherd named Merlin had attacked multiple people. Merlin bit 3 women as members of the public tried to intervene. A witness told police they were driving along Queen's Road when they saw the dog launch towards an elderly male and female. The witness said the dog jumped at the elderly woman, bit her arm and dragged her to the ground. Cruz ran to the scene, but the witness said the dog was so aggressive she could not control it. 2 passing runners tried to help, but Merlin turned on them too. The elderly woman suffered the most serious injuries. Her arm stayed swollen for several weeks. She suffered nerve and muscle pain and needed 22 stitches in her elbow for what the court described as a hole in her arm. The woman said she rarely goes out for walks now and freezes in fear when she is alone and sees a dog, often suffering flashbacks. The 2 runners suffered bruised wrists from the bites, but their skin was not broken. Cruz eventually controlled Merlin and locked the dog in a crate at home before the police arrived, and the dog was later destroyed. Defending, Oscar Vincent offered no mitigation after magistrates said they were not considering prison. At an earlier hearing, Mr. Vincent said Cruz was an experienced owner who had kept another Belgian Shepherd for 13 years without incident. He said she acted immediately to regain control of Merlin, contacted the police herself, and arranged for the dog to be euthanised. Cruz had not owned another dog since the attack. Cruz was handed an 18-month community order with a mental health treatment requirement, fined £300, and must pay £350 compensation to the elderly woman and £100 each to the runners. She is banned from caring for a dog for 5 years.
Free drinking water station installed at beauty spot. Residents and visitors enjoying a popular clifftop location this summer can now top up their water bottles for free and help the environment thanks to a new refill station. Officially opened by Lake Parish Council Chairman Councillor Paul Brading, the public water bottle filling station is located near the public conveniences in Lake Cliff Gardens at Skew Bridge near Shanklin. The facility is designed to encourage people to stay hydrated while reducing reliance on single-use plastic bottles and tackling marine litter. The fountain is expected to benefit walkers, cyclists, families, beachgoers and visitors making use of Lake's coastal attractions. Councillor Brading said, Lake Parish Council is delighted to provide this new water fountain for the benefit of residents and visitors. We hope it will play an important role in reducing single-use plastic waste and protecting the local environment for future generations. The installation was supported through the Sea Changers Coastal Fountain Fund, backed by Bunzel plc, which helps not-for-profit organisations introduce publicly accessible water refill stations in coastal locations. The council has also put in place maintenance plans to ensure the facility is available all year round.
The council apologises and will pay £6,500 over send failings. More than £6,500 in compensation has been agreed by the Isle of Wight Council after a watchdog upheld several special educational needs (SEN) complaints since the start of the year. Fault causing injustice has been found by the Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman, LGSCO, on 4 occasions relating to SEN. An Isle of Wight Council spokesperson apologised for where the local authority's service had fallen below the standards that families rightly expect. In February, a 10-month delay in issuing a child's SEND plan resulted in the local authority agreeing to pay a £2,500 remedy. The child's father said a significant amount of education was missed at a crucial stage in their schooling. With another upheld complaint, it was agreed £900 would be paid out to a woman in recognition of her child's loss of specialist provision and support set out in an Education, Health and Care Plan, an EHCP, between April 2025 and June 2025. The LGSCO said this payment also includes the distress and uncertainty caused by the council's failings. In a case decided in May, the local authority settled to pay £500 to a woman after it delayed ensuring all the provision in her child's ECHP was in place following a tribunal order. Another complaint saw the authority agree to pay a man £2,475 to acknowledge the harm caused by the loss of his child's educational provision. A further £150 payment was settled to reflect the upset, frustration and uncertainty resulting from the failure to complete the annual review of the child's EHCP within legal timescales, and its communication failures. LGSCO said the council must arrange for the EHCP to be reviewed at least once a year. The council said, "We recognise the impact that delays and service shortcomings can have on children and young people with SEND and on their families. The council accepts the findings and recommendations made and has worked or is continuing to work to implement the agreed remedies. Over the past year, we have been undertaking a significant programme of improvement across our SEND service. This has included reviewing processes, strengthening staff training, improving communication with families and partners, and increasing our focus on delivering statutory responsibilities within required timescales. Many of the issues identified relate to periods before a number of these improvements were introduced, but we recognise there is more to do.
Ice cream gets on the best scoops list. The Telegraph has named an unexpectedly delicious type of ice cream as the best on the Isle of Wight in its list of best scoops by county. The national newspaper picked out the ultimate ice cream flavour for every English county and selected black garlic as its pick for the island. Described as the Isle of Wight's most famous crop, the Telegraph awards the Garlic Farm's creation as the county's finest. The product mixes the slow-aged cloves, which have a subtle licorice flavour, with chocolate and local milk and cream. The article, written by Anna Shepherd, says the scoop is unexpectedly delicious and creates a surprisingly sweet flavour, urging readers to not knock it until you've tried it. The product is sold at the Garlic Farm in Newchurch and its on-site restaurant. This weekend is the Garlic Festival, Saturday, August the 15th and Sunday, August the 16th at Howell Common. The festival is likely to be the perfect place to get your hands on the recently recognised ice cream and try it for yourself.
Sadness as Zoppa dies. Tributes have been paid to Zoppa, hailed as the loveliest tiger, after she died at Wild Heart Animal Sanctuary last Thursday. The long-term resident was compassionately put to sleep after extensive assessment and consultation with the sanctuary's veterinary team. Zoppa spent the last 8 years of her life at the sanctuary in Sandown after being born in 2012 and kept in a Spanish circus. During that time she suffered a fractured front leg which went untreated, leaving her with a permanent disability, and her name, Zoppa, being the Italian word for lame or limping. Animal advocacy and protection Prima Domus rescued her in Spain in September 2017, alongside 4 other circus tigers, Natasha, Antonella, Girona and Mondo. Zoppa was cared for at the sanctuary with teams making bespoke programmes to cater specifically for her needs, which gave her a good quality of life despite her history. Her injury did not stop her from being active, playful and curious. She loved the pool and played completely content in her own world. Mark Fox, the sanctuary's animal manager, who cared for Zoppa from her arrival, said, "Zoppa was a fantastic tiger, always responding so positively and energetically to her carers, even in the face of such adversity. I personally have cared for 28 different tigers through my career, and I can honestly say that Zoppa has genuinely been the loveliest tiger I have ever had the honour to know. Although we always knew that her disability would become harder for her to cope with as she aged, it never made this decision any easier. She exceeded all of our expectations and showed incredible resilience throughout her life. Despite everything she had endured, she remained playful, curious and full of spirit. It has been a privilege to care for her, and she will be deeply missed by everyone who knew her. Staff will monitor Zoppa's companion, Natasha, as she adjusts to the loss." Wild Heart Animal Sanctuary Chief Executive Lawrence Bates said, "Zoppa's life perfectly captured why our sanctuary exists. She arrived here after experiencing neglect and exploitation, and while we couldn't change her past, we could give her the care, dignity and compassion she deserved for the rest of her life."
Health of animals decline. There has been a 6-fold increase in the number of animal health issues dealt with by the Isle of Wight Council in 2025-26 compared to the previous year. Speaking at County Hall, Senior Council Officer Michelle Love said, "It is unfortunate that there are financial considerations at play in why the tally has surged from 4 to 24. She said trading standards officers check both the quality and quantity of animal feed that farmers use as well as the welfare conditions. She told councillors that farming is an industry under a lot of pressure in response to a question from Environmental and Community Protection Committee Chair, Councillor Karen Lucchini. There has been a removal of subsidies via the DEFRA and the UK leaving the European Union, Miss Love said. We have had some incidents where farmers have potentially not looked after the welfare of their animals in the way that they could have done, and it has been related back to the financial situation, loss of subsidies, etc. We did have one particular case of a gentleman whose animals, the welfare of them, was seriously compromised. Another factor behind the increase in issues dealt with is that the council now has greater coverage with more staff recruited, she explained.
The oldest chippy is frying again under new management. The island's oldest fish and chip shop is reopening under new management. Stotesbury's on St James's Street, Newport, has been shut for months following its sudden closure earlier this year. Now, Kaglar Erdal, or Charlie, is taking over the shop with his business partner Ergin Mehmed. Charlie, who moved to the island from Essex around 4 years ago, has plenty of experience in the hospitality trade, having previously run a pizza restaurant and a kebab shop. Most recently, he worked at Newport Kebab House, just down the road from Stotesbury's. Charlie, 48, said he was interested as soon as he knew the fish and chip shop was available. I love fish and chips, and I used to come here as a customer, and I just love the place, he told County Press. We're going to try our best and catch up to the taste of how it used to be. That's our first aim. 2 of the staff who used to work at Stotesbury's are returning, bringing a sense of familiarity back. Charlie is leasing the business from owner Meli Selak, who successfully ran the chip shop for 23 years. Meli stepped aside and former shop chef Daniel Ditton took over in 2023. Earlier this year it suddenly closed and a repossession notice was slapped on the door. Meli said she had received an offer to turn the building into flats, but did not want its 120-year-old history wasted. Meli wants Stotesbury's to go on and on and on. This is going to be the same place as I ran for 23 years, same quality and some of the same staff. I'm 100% sure it will be a success. I can feel it in my heart, otherwise I would not go with them. Ahead of the reopening, Meli has been passing on her experience. Stotesbury's is set to reopen on Monday. The shop will initially open from noon to 11 every day. Stotesbury's opened its doors in 1897, making it the oldest fish and chip shop on the island.
Colourful stone snake continues to grow. A colourful snake made up of hand-painted stones has appeared at a supermarket, and there is plenty of room for it to keep growing. Tesco Freshwater has spent the past few months working with schools, community groups and care homes to create the unusual display which winds its way around the edge of the store's car park. Dozens of individually decorated and varnished stones have been contributed to the project, with designs ranging from colourful patterns to rainbows. Children from Brystone Primary School and Little Stars Nursery helped lay out the stones to form the snake. The project has brought together contributions from across the West White community, including Little Hayes Residential Home, the Gouldings, Eden House, Westview, Bryston Primary School, Our Place Community Group at West White Sports Centre and Little Stars Nursery. A Tesco spokesperson said, "We would like to thank the following community for creating lovely rocks and for our snake. You can get involved, paint and varnish your own stone and take it to the customer service desk. The stone will then be added to the display, giving the community created snake the chance to grow longer still." A
first all-female crew launch into sea action. An emergency call recently turned a routine training exercise into a mission. COWS RNLI's first all-female crew launched during its annual ladies' launch on Wednesday, August the 5th. The crew were diverted to assist a sailor who had been injured. The training exercise, which began at 9 o'clock, was paused at 11:10 when HM Coast Guard requested the lifeboat's help with a head injury on a sailing boat. The incident occurred 1 mile north of the moored Naval Guard ship, and the all-female crew responded while training in the Solent. Anne Simkin, the launch authority at COWS RNLI, said, "COWS RNLI station is at the forefront of RNLI efforts to create an inclusive and diverse environment where volunteers of all backgrounds can contribute to saving lives at sea. I am so proud to have been part of that journey for 10 years. I will miss the wonderful people who make up our station and look forward to seeing many more launches like today's." The ladies' launch saw 28 women from across the RNLI community come together to celebrate their contribution to the charity. They represented shore crew, boat crew, visits and water safety teams, fundraisers and volunteers from the Bembridge and Yarmouth stations. Long-standing volunteers were also recognised during the event. Anne Simkin received a badge marking her 10 years of service. She joined COWS RNLI in 2016, beginning as shore crew and quickly progressing to boat crew. Anne was just 2 weeks away from her helm assessment when a back injury ended her time at sea. Since 2019, she has served as launch authority, making the critical decision to deploy the lifeboat when needed. She will step down in September. Jennifer Hastings, a long-time member of the visits team, was also honoured. She joined the team in 2014 and will be stepping down later this year. The crew returned to the station at 11:30 a.m, washed down the boat and prepared it for service. The ladies' launch not only highlighted the operational capabilities of the station's female volunteers, but also reinforced the RNLI's commitment to inclusivity and diversity within its ranks.
Major dual carriageway works to bring disruption. Major bridge structure work is set to begin on the dual carriageway next month, with 6 months of disruption expected. The bridge over the River Medina, standing above the Bargeman's Rest in the quay, carries around 28,500 vehicles a day, according to Island Roads. All 16 bearings on the bridge will be replaced during the project, which is due to start on September the 28th. The bearings sit between the bridge deck and its supporting infrastructure, allowing the structure to safely expand, contract and move in response to traffic and temperature changes. The work is expected to last around 6 months, with a planned break over Christmas and New Year. The largest impact for road users will be temporary single lane closures required while the bridge deck is lifted and supported by temporary jacks. One lane will be shut for about 5 weeks in each direction, but the northbound and southbound closures will not happen at the same time. Island Roads says one carriageway will remain unrestricted while work is carried out on the other bridge deck. The southbound closure towards Coppins Bridge is currently expected to begin in mid-November, while the northbound closure is planned for mid-January after the festive break. The jacking operations will take place during phased overnight closures. Further overnight closures will also be needed for work including local resurfacing and installation of movement joints. The scheme has been developed over the past 2 years following inspections and assessments by specialist bridge engineers. Island Roads says the work has been scheduled outside the peak tourism season to reduce disruption. Project manager Luke Ward said, "The Medina Way Bridge is the largest highway bridge structure managed by Island Roads, and replacing the bearings is a highly complex engineering operation. Unlike many maintenance activities, these works require the bridge deck to be temporarily lifted and supported on specialist jacking systems, while the existing bearings are removed and replaced. We fully appreciate that reducing Medina Way to a single lane in one direction will cause delays and disruption. However, these restrictions are a direct consequence of the temporary structural limitations that exist while the bridge is supported on jacks and the bearings are being replaced. Mr. Ward said Island Roads had carefully considered alternative options, but there is no reasonably practical way of carrying out the work safely without lane closures.
Probe obstruction arrests. A police probe into the unexpected death of an island man remains ongoing 3 years on, with 2 people arrested and under investigation for obstructing a coroner. Levi Randall, 28, died on November the 21st, 2023. Police were called to Trafalgar Court in Terminus Road, Cowes, after a man was found dead. Police initially treated the death as unexplained. 2 suspects, a 31-year-old man and a 42-year-old man, were later detained on suspicion of obstructing a coroner. Obstructing a coroner can include deliberately hiding facts, moving a body, or blocking an official death inquiry. 3 years on, police told the county press the case remains live and both men have been released but remain under investigation. Following his death, his partner posted on his GoFundMe, "Levi lost his life unexpectedly at 28, and I'm truly heartbroken to not only lose the love of my life but the dad to my beautiful little boy." Levi was a keen footballer and played for Bembridge FC. His partner was presented with his number 7 shirt, and the club said it would be given to his son when he is older.
Court appearance over dog case. A man accused of being in charge of a dog dangerously out of control has appeared in court. Benjamin Entwistle of Westlake Avenue Lake appeared before Isle of Wight magistrates on Tuesday, August the 4th. The 38-year-old is charged with being the owner in charge of a dog dangerously out of control in Newport on April the 16th. He's also charged with possession of ketamine and cannabis on the same day at the same location. The charges relate to an alleged incident on St James's Street. Mr Entwistle, who is yet to enter pleas, saw his case adjourned to August the 18th at the same venue for an expert report on his dog to be produced. The court heard his dog, Remy, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier Cross Rottweiler, was currently in the care of the RSPCA, and Mr Entwistle had not been able to see his pet for 3 months. Mr Entwistle was granted conditional bail until his next court hearing.
A restaurant closes at peak time. Just 4 months after realising their dream of opening a seafront restaurant in Sandown, the owners of Le Goût de la Mer have been forced to shut the business during what should have been their busiest period of the year. The restaurant opened in April but has been temporarily closed since Wednesday, August the 5th, after receiving independent professional health and safety advice about the premises. The closure is a blow to a restaurant launched with much fanfare. The former bandstand on Culver Parade was relaunched as Le Goût de la Mer, French for the taste of the sea, in a prime seafront spot. Owners Hannah and Alexandra Bourgeois have reassured customers they are determined to reopen as soon as possible. Hannah told the county press the closure followed advice about premises-related issues needing further expert assessment and ruled out it being related to any hygiene issues. She said, "Our priority is the safety of our customers and staff, and we remain fully committed to reopening the restaurant as soon as we are satisfied it is safe and appropriate to do so." Hannah called the closure absolutely heartbreaking, coming at the height of the summer when the restaurant was busiest. Customers with existing bookings are being contacted directly, with the restaurant promising further updates once a reopening date is confirmed. In a statement on the restaurant's Facebook page, the couple posted, "As tenants of the building, circumstances relating to the premises outside our control mean we must temporarily close." Hannah and Alexandra leased the landmark building from Paul Rowling, who rescued the century-old bandstand with his late wife Donna in 2014 after decades of dereliction. Following extensive restoration work, it reopened as the Bandstand in 2015, before closing again in 2023. April's reopening fulfilled Hannah and Alexandra's ambition to create a destination restaurant by the sea. Alexandra, originally from Saint-Malo in Brittany, is a chef trained in classical French cuisine, while Hannah, from New York, previously owned a restaurant specialising in Caribbean flavours. "We are contacting the relevant parties and working to resolve these issues as quickly as possible," the couple said. The Isle of Wight Council said, "Le Goutte de la Mer has not registered with the Isle of Wight Council as a food business and therefore has not been inspected by the Council's food safety team. As a result, no food hygiene rating has been awarded to the premises. Any recent closure of the restaurant was not the result of a food hygiene intervention." The council confirmed that food businesses do need to register with them.
And now we move on to white memories and nostalgia. And we're looking back from the county press, going through their archives, and we've delved into the archives, and 125 years ago, in August 1901, a particularly daring jewel robbery took place at Alexandra Villa in Cowes. A man was seen loitering outside the property, and it was believed he let himself in and stole several items of jewellery from a young lady's bedroom. The hoard was worth over £700. There was countrywide speculation on the future of Osborne House. The county press reported on the View of the Standard newspaper that the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall and York would make it their home. 100 years ago, in August 1926, a series of sensational accidents occurred during the Royal Victoria Yacht Club's annual regatta. Stormy weather marred the event, and although there was some brave rescues, no one was seriously hurt. A farm fire at Rookley destroyed nearly all the farm's buildings, and 3 large hayricks, a valuable pedigree Guernsey bull and calf were also killed.
75 years ago, in August 1951, there was a big traffic hold-up in Yarmouth when the car ferry broke down with engine trouble and was taken out of service. Motorists were stranded at Yarmouth and Lymington. A 40-ton piling barge sank during heavy weather at Sandown. It had been carrying out reconstruction work to Sandown Pier. It was disclosed that the whole of the island railway system was included in a list of branch lines under consideration for closure on grounds of economy. 50 years ago, in August 1976, construction work at the site of the island's new 5th high school, Medina, was reported to be on schedule. It was feared that the island's football season could be affected by the drought conditions. Decisions were due to be made over the use of football pitches across the island. The island's second Pelican pedestrian crossing was put into operation on Horsebridge Hill, Parkhurst. There was an appeal for pedestrians and motorists to acquaint themselves with how to use the crossing. For more tales of the past, subscribe to our online archive, where you can read the county press editions dating back to 1884.
And carrying on with my white memories and nostalgia, we have Mystery of an Unsolved Murder by John Hoskins. Penelope Magano believed in appearances in and out of her home. Neighbours noted how well she dressed, with never a hair out of place. Her well-furnished home was kept in immaculate order. An address in which she had planned to meet friends late afternoon was carefully laid out on a bed. She was never to wear it. Had there been an unexpected visitor? If so, it was almost certainly someone she knew. Someone who was to gruesomely murder her. It was not a botched burglary or a sexual deviant. There were no forced entry, no valuables or cash missing, and she had not been violated. It is an enduring mystery that has baffled detectives. Her husband, Carlo, returning from work as an inspector with Daimler, made the shocking discovery. She was slumped in a chair in a blood-spattered back room with severe head injuries and her jaw repeatedly slashed. The mother of two, born and brought up on the island, was brutally slain in her Midlands home. Her wounds so vicious it was once feared an escapee from a local mental hospital had been responsible. As a youngster, she had lived with her 5 brothers and 2 sisters in Cowes, where she attended Denmark Road School. Her husband's family had lived in Ventnor for several years, running a confectionery and fancy goods shop. It was shortly after the Second World War that the couple, who met on the island, where he had worked as a chauffeur, moved to Coventry, where she was horrifically murdered. "We are looking for a fanatic," the town's chief constable declared at a press conference after a major manhunt involving a team of 50 officers was launched. Detectives investigating the murder that had shocked the city in 1954 quizzed friends and other couples who met them at dances, their favourite entertainment. In fact, Mr. and Mrs. Magano were so proficient that they had even considered turning professional. Within days, police followed one line of inquiry: a smooth-talking stranger who conned unsuspecting women into allowing him into their homes on the pretext of checking electricity meters and switches before subjecting them to a series of degrading remarks and lewd suggestions.
His activities seemed to be spread over days, the chief constable remarked, following a stream of complaints he had tricked his way into about 20 houses. But he was eventually eliminated, along with a salt cellar on the run from digs in Leicester. Instead, it gradually emerged that the dance club was not as fun as it would seem, and Mrs. Magano had been deeply upset by an incident involving a change of partners. Her husband, who spent about 10 hours in a series of interviews with the police, was convinced the killer was someone with a grudge. In turn, they suspected someone had a dark secret and was withholding information. The public was to learn that 2 months earlier the couple had been the target of an arson attack, with an attempt to blow up their car after a rag soaked in paraffin was stuffed under the bonnet. Then 2 nights before the murder, someone had tried to set fire to the home of dance friends who she had been due to visit on the afternoon of her death. As detectives delved deeper into the couple's lifestyle, they understood she had made a series of mystery trips 2 or 3 times a week while her husband was at work. But where, they could not find out. Could she have been leading a double life? She had also unexpectedly resigned from the town's Women's Guild, saying she had become increasingly tired in the afternoons and needed to rest. And in a bizarre development, she had sent back to a children's home a young foster child she had been deeply caring for. 3 months on, with no arrests made, an inquest jury returned the only possible verdict, that she had been murdered by some person or persons unknown. Detective Superintendent Reginald Taylor, head of Coventry CID, however, disclosed the killer had made no effort to dispose of a blood-stained knife that had inflicted her facial injuries. It was lying on her body, but the major murder weapon, a hammer, had not been recovered. He also revealed some 25,000 people had been interviewed and extensive inquiries carried out. Officers, he added, were still involved in the hunt, in the hope the killer would be brought to justice. But he or she never was.
Now we have my view. Young islanders want to work but face barriers. This is written by Richard Quigley, MP for Isle of Wight West. I recently hosted the first ever Isle of Wight West Skills Bootcamp. We didn't put attendees through any gruelling activities, but we did manage to pack a lot in. The week-long programme was designed to help young islanders develop transferable skills, boost their confidence and help them take that next step. They learned a lot, and so did I. So much so we'll be doing it all again next year. And I'll be sharing the group's feedback and what I learned from them with island employers at this year's Growth and Skills Summit in October. The purpose of which is to explore existing and new opportunities to support even more people into training and employment on the island. But what struck me at the boot camp was that they all shared similar experiences. Despite their enthusiasm and their willingness to put themselves out there, they didn't feel prepared or equipped with the knowledge or experience many employers expect. It demonstrates there are still too many barriers to employment for those wanting to work. Overly complex application forms, entry-level jobs that need experience, and lack of feedback were just some of the barriers. But even knowing where to look or to apply for a job on the island can be an issue for young people. One particular person told me about attending a recent careers fair on the island. They'd taken time out of their day proactively looking for work. Yet despite being advertised as a careers event, the companies they were interested in weren't actually recruiting. They were just marketing what they do, which included giving out free pens. It highlights a more serious point though. We need to demystify application processes, ensure alternative pathways are well signposted and work together cross-sector to ensure we're developing the skills and workforce needed on the island. And that's where our skills group comes in. Over the last year, that group has grown to include businesses and local stakeholders from different sectors, all wanting to do more to support people into training or employment. Some have offered work experience for the first time. Others have increased the number and variety of apprenticeships they offer. But all of them are helping to shape the island. They recognise the talent that they need to help grow their businesses is right here on our doorstep. It's why I'm passionate about ensuring that listening to young people doesn't become a tick box exercise. The island's got a fantastic history of innovation, and I see that in our skills group. They're all wanting to invest in young people, connect with them, opportunities and give them the confidence to take the next step. The talent is already here. Our job is to work together to unlock it.
Now, crime prevention advice for boat owners, and this is from the Chief Inspector Andy MacDonald of Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary. A highlight of the summer months on the island is Cows Week, and it was brilliant to see the return of Friday evening fireworks bringing people together. From a policing perspective, our local teams on the island are supported with additional cover from the mainland to ensure we can continue to provide our usual service across the island, whilst also supporting this wonderful event. Our local neighbourhood policing teams work in conjunction with event organisers, staff from the Isle of Wight Council, RNLI and also wider teams from Hampshire and the Isle of Wight Constabulary, including our Marine Support Unit, to police the event. I am aware that residents and visitors will likely be moving and storing their boats following this event, and so it feels appropriate to provide some crime prevention guidance. When you leave your boat, consider how it looks to a potential thief. Make sure you keep valuable items out of sight and locked away, and get a good quality wheel clamp for the trailer if you use one. There are lots of alarms available. Speak to members of your club or other boat users to learn what might work well for you. Marking items can deter thieves and make it easier for police to identify and return property and to prosecute offenders. Meanwhile, if you were in the vicinity of Newport Police Station on Wednesday, August the 5th, You likely would have witnessed several people leaving the vehicle yard on push bikes and making their way out of Newport. A group of cyclists visited the island ahead of the annual UK Police Unity Tour, with representatives from Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary joining colleagues from Thames Valley Police. A total of 39 riders officially departed from our training HQ at Netley on Thursday, August the 6th, riding to attend the Care of Police Survivors, COPS, annual service of remembrance on Sunday, August the 9th in Staffordshire. Each rider takes part in memory of an individual officer, raising money for COPS charity that supports families of those who have died in the line of duty. By the time you read this column, the riders will have concluded their journey, which last year raised £25,000, contributing towards a national total of more than £300,000. My wholehearted thanks to all those who supported our representatives this year.
Now we have some What's On. On Thursday the 20th of August, Vectis Brass Band has a concert at 8 p.m, and it's a free outdoor bandstand concert by Vectis Brass, and it's at the Rylestone Gardens Bandstand, which is on 10 Popham Road in Shankling. And you can contact jjtaylor15@hotmail.co.uk if you want further information. On Friday the 21st of August, we have live music from JC and Angelina Fun Band, and that's at 7:30 p.m. at Goddard's Brewery. And that's at Goddard's Brewery Limited, Branston, and you can contact events.goddards@powdermonkeygroup.com, or alternatively, if you call them, if you're interested, on 01983 611011.
Key Arts 50th anniversary. 9 o'clock, from 9 o'clock on the 22nd of August and the 23rd of August. It's Key Arts 50th anniversary weekend celebration. That's at Key Arts, 15 C Street, Newport, and you can get in touch at info@keyarts.org. There's a Wonderland weekend from 10 o'clock on the 22nd of August and the 23rd of August, a magical weekend in a magical venue, filled with amazing whimsical stalls, entertainment, activities, divination readings, kids area, games, magical decor and effects, food, licensed bars and more. And it's at the Barn, Brading, 60 to 61 High Street, Brading. And you can get in touch with Bex, BEX, _Barker at yahoo.co.uk. And Notes at Noon, superb classical music in Ryde at 12 o'clock. Prices £5 to £37.50. Take a moment in the middle of your day to enjoy beautiful live music in the heart of Ryde. Notes at Noon is a welcoming concert series bringing superb classical performances to the Isle of Wight Ryde Methodist Church, 14 Garfield Road, Ryde. And there is a phone number 0333 666 3366.
As Lynn's just said about Key Arts, there's a piece here as well, also talking about Key Arts, it's making its 50th year with a weekend of celebrations. The island's creative hub in Newport will host a free birthday weekend on August the 22nd and the 23rd, featuring an inclusive programme of art, music, comedy, circus and more to mark 5 decades of creativity and community spirit. Del Seymour, the centre's manager, said, "Turning 50 is a milestone we're proud to celebrate with a vibrant birthday weekend of music, theatre, comedy, poetry, circus, dance and more, and an exhibition that reflects the spirit of Key Arts. We're calling on everyone who's been part of our journey to share their memories and help us capture the legacy of this remarkable creative hub." Having opened its doors in 1976, Key Arts has grown into a beloved space for artists, performers and audiences, known for championing creative expression and bringing people together from across the island and beyond. Organisers promise activities and entertainment for all ages. Celebrations will extend beyond the weekend with a special exhibition, the Centre exhibition, running until September the 13th in the West Gallery. This showcase will explore the history of Key Arts through artwork, archival materials and the voices of those who have helped shape its journey over the past 50 years. Key Arts is inviting members of the public to share their personal memories and stories of the venues, whether from a favourite performance, workshop or behind the scenes moment. These shared experiences will help tell the wider story of the centre's impact on generations of islanders and visitors. Memories and messages can be submitted online at the Key Arts website. The centre is managed by the Steve Ross Foundation for the Arts and remains dedicated to the nurturing creativity and culture on the Isle of Wight. For more information and details about the anniversary events, visit the Key Arts website.
And there is a busy music programme to mark 80 years of concerts. West Wight Arts Association has announced its 2026-27 anniversary season, marking 80 years of concerts. The season opens on September the 12th with the Emilio Trio, who have been named Rising Stars for 26-27 by the European Concert Hall Organisation. The trio, who first met in 2012 as teenagers, will perform pieces by Haydn, Schumann, Brahms and Lira Orbach. On October the 10th, cellist Petar Peggi, winner of 2025 Young Classical Artists Trust, auditions, joins pianist Noor Ayadi. Their programme includes works by Chopin, Debussy, Fauré and a rare piece by Serbian composer Miloje Milojevic. November the 14th sees pianist Max Pemberton, the 2023 winner of the Musicians' Company Carnwath Scholarship, for performing. His repertoire includes Bach transcriptions, Rachmaninoff, Debussy's Images and Chopin's complete Opus 28 Preludes. The A4 Brass Quartet returns on December the 12th with a Christmas programme featuring Smetana, Shostakovich, Doreen Carwithen, John Ireland and carols. The new year kicks off on January the 9th, 2027 with a performance by clarinetist Mebrach Horton-Johnson and pianist George Ireland. Their programme includes works by Brahms, Debussy, Widor, Joseph Horowitz, André Previn, Jesse Montgomery and Cuban virtuoso Paquito de Rivera. On February the 13th, soprano Belinda Williams and pianist James Longford, both of the Isle of Wight, will perform a selection of songs by Fauré, Lily and Nadia Boulanger, Clara and Robert Schumann and others for a Valentine's Day themed finish. March the 13th sees violinist Matteo Cimati, another YCAT winner, performing with pianist Francesco Granata. Their programme includes Brahms, Prokofiev, Ravel and a new work by Arthur Keegan. On April the 10th, pianist Thomas Luke, winner of the keyboard category of the BBC Young Musician 2020, returns for a performance. The 80th anniversary will be marked by a performance of Mendelssohn's Octet by the Fibonacci and Marmon String Quartets on May the 8th, 2027. All concerts will take place at Freshwater Memorial Hall. Tickets are £17, with student and child tickets available for £3, and can be purchased at the West Wight Arts website or from Tottenham Parish Office on 01983 756 028. And all concerts start at 7 p.m.
Three Rivers 2027 early bird tickets are on sale. Early bird tickets are now on sale for the 2027 edition of the popular Three Rivers Festival. The festival takes place from Friday, May the 28th to Sunday, May the 30th. Adult passes cost £70. Teen tickets are £35 and nippers tickets are £20. Children under 6 go free to the event. Three Rivers Festival, held on Durrance Farm in Porchfield, was headlined by Dub Pistols, Mungo's Hi-Fi and FULU or Fulu earlier this year. The 2027 edition is touted to have a new comedy and lectures tent, which will create a space for convening community, well-being and mental health, as well as space for lots of laughs. Organisers also said accessibility and sustainability will be a focus for the event going forward to ensure more people can enjoy the festival and to reduce Three Rivers' environmental impact. Further updates, including line-up announcements, will be shared throughout the year. Dan Anderson, the festival's co-director, said, "I'm incredibly proud of what we've built together and deeply grateful to everyone who made it possible. We're already looking forward to next year and we can't wait to welcome everyone back to make even more unforgettable memories together."
Help the Seagulls. This is one of the letters, and this one is sent in by Joan Minns of Northwood. Why is there so much hate for our seagulls, which have declined by 65% and are on the red list? Lack of fish, changes in farming, climate change and avian flu have made it difficult for them to feed. We happily put out food and water for our small birds. It is not illegal to feed gulls on your land. They also need lots of water, especially in this heat. Within 5 minutes they eat, drink and go, causing no problems to anyone. I am very conscious when I feed early, so as to miss dog walkers, school children, passing cars, but I have received verbal abuse from people old enough to know better. I've hedgehogs coming every night and a fox to drink. My garden is full of bees and butterflies. It should be a joy helping all creatures we share the world with.
Stop the tents, writes Sally Evans from Brading. I contacted the Isle of Wight Council by phone about 3 weeks ago concerning 3 tents on Yaverland Beach, camping while night fishing. I had explained to the campers who were there on holiday that they are not allowed to camp on the beaches on the island. One said he didn't care and asked what it had to do with me, and there weren't any signs to say that they couldn't camp there. Fair comment. I received a voicemail from the council saying someone had gone to speak with them, but they are moving on in a few days. Yes, they did leave the tent for 3 days to return for another 9 days. When they did leave, they left the tents, broken chairs and of course rubbish. On August the 11th I noticed 3 tents and 5 people. I decided not to contact the council but the county press, as I think the approach from the council wasn't the correct one. After speaking about the tents with local people using Yaverland Beach, they felt that no one would do anything, so there was no point of reporting it. They, as do I, feel that this could start people camping wherever they want, and our beach is becoming camping sites, leaving rubbish, tents and other items for the council to clean up, wasting taxpayers' money. A notice by the entrance may prevent this from continuing, but I feel the council shouldn't accept any excuses as to why they are camping there and move them on.
Now a letter titled Value Comparison, and this is from a Michael Mew, a retired Isle of Wight resident. Whenever retirement apartments are discussed, one figure tends to dominate the conversation: the annual service charge. Figures of 10,000 or 12,000 a year can sound alarming, and it is easy to understand why many people immediately conclude that such accommodation must be poor value for money. But is that really the right comparison? Perhaps we should be asking a different question. Rather than asking how much is the service charge, we should ask how much does it cost to live there compared with the alternatives. That shifts the discussion from price to value. For older people whose care needs are beginning to increase, or who simply live alone and would benefit from companionship, security and support, an assisted living apartment can work out considerably better value than many imagine, and in some circumstances considerably less expensive than moving into a residential care home. An assisted living apartment provides more than a roof over your head. Residents have their own front door and retain their independence while benefiting from a staffed environment, 24-hour emergency call systems, communal lounges, organised social activities, maintained gardens, building maintenance, security, and in many developments a restaurant serving freshly prepared meals. For many older people and their families, these features provide companionship and peace of mind long before significant care needs arise. Of course, the service charge does not cover everything. Residents still pay council tax, electricity and household bills, and any personal care they require is purchased separately. However, when these costs are added together, the comparison still suggests that assisted living apartments can represent remarkably good value when compared with residential care homes. A comparison of typical costs suggests that after allowing for service charges, council tax, utilities, meals, and other everyday living expenses, many residents could purchase around £40,000 a year of personal care before their total annual costs approached those of a typical residential care home. This does not mean assisted living is right for everyone. As care needs increase, the cost of purchasing additional care also rises, while care homes become relatively better value because the staffing is already in place. There comes a point, particularly where someone requires continuous supervision, nursing care, or advanced dementia support, where a specialist care home is the most appropriate setting. The question is whether people are moving into residential care earlier than they need to because the economics of assisted living are misunderstood.
Help find the war heroes' family members. From John Brady MacDonald, Paddock Wood, Saskatchewan in Canada. I'm a military historian from Canada, and I'm trying to locate the family of a father and son originally from Cowes on the Isle of Wight who both served in the military and then emigrated to Canada. I'm trying to track down immediate family relatives if possible. However, finding their family here in Canada has proven fruitless, and I'm hoping to find family in the UK in order to return the family something deeply precious. Over the past 3 years, I have made it my mission to return to families the medals of veterans which I rescue from antique stores, pawn shops, estate sales, collectors and scrap metal dealers. It's a labour of love that has allowed me to return 30 sets of medals to families of veterans across Canada and the UK. There is absolutely no cost to the families whatsoever. I cover 100% of the cost of purchasing, restoring, framing and shipping the medals. No family will ever have to pay to get their heroes returned to them. It's 100% a volunteer mission on my part. It's my way of saying thanks for what those veterans were willing to do for us all. A few months ago, I rescued the medals of First World War veteran Ernest Charles Vine and his son, Second World War veteran Reginald Cecil Vine, from an online shop. Ernest Charles Vine served as a chief steward with the Royal Navy Yacht Patrol until 1916, when he was released to fight in the First World War. He served with the Royal Berkshire Regiment, then with the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry. His son, Reginald Cecil Vine, was born in 1901 in Cowes and fought during the Second World War with the Royal Engineers in Italy. Prior to the war, he served as a firefighter with the Claxton Fire Brigade and was awarded the National Fire Brigades Association Long Service Medal with 10 years clasp. Reginald died in Toronto, Ontario in 1981 at the age of 79. He's buried there. It is my mission to return the medals of these two warriors to the family so their legacy will never be forgotten. As the world once again moves towards intolerance and right-wing tyranny, we are quickly forgetting what these brave individuals fought and died for, even though every November the 11th we say, lest we forget. My motto is, no hero left behind. Across the world, military medals are being destroyed for their scrap value, and each medal that goes to scrap pile takes the story of that veteran with it, and that story is lost forever. It is my hope that once these medals are returned to the family, they will never again be on the market, or worse, melted down, and they will be held for generations to remember these heroes. I can be contacted at johnbradymcdonald@gmail.com.
And now it's time to say goodbye from Lynn.
And goodbye from Jerry.
There now follows an interview from Vectis Radio with Chris and Sam.
Vectis Radio.
Welcome to Maggie Talks To, a series of in-depth conversations with people who live and work here on the Isle of Wight. I'm here with JD Viet, and we're going to be talking to him about how he got to where he is today. So, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Lovely to have you both here today.
It's a pleasure. Can you tell me where you were born here on the island?
No, I was born in Canaries in St. Lucia.
All right.
Yeah, so that's where my family are from. And I was born over there and come over back to the UK when I was really little.
Really little?
Yes, titchy baby.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I'd grown up most of my child life in London.
Right.
And then, yeah.
Did you go to school in London?
I did. I went to multiple schools in London. I didn't go to school until I was around maybe 6 or so. So I started in like year 3.
Right.
And started in one school, couldn't get on there, went to another school, and then finally settled at Christchurch Bentinck in London, just off Edgware Road.
Right.
Yeah. And then I stayed there, then went through the kind of conventional education cycle. So went on to Quinton Kenniston School in St John's Wood. It's called something different now, but yeah. So I was there, and then I went to college, City of Westminster in London.
All right.
And that's where I kind of went into the art industry. So I studied digital design and development. It was with a games design course.
So what did that involve?
I wanted to make, cinematics for games. And I've always loved comic books and things like that, and manga and things. So, yeah, studying there was interesting, eye-opening, and put me on the path to go to university. So I studied animation arts and illustration at UCA Maidstone.
Was it hard?
No, I think it's difficult. University was away from parents and had a fresh new circle of friends. So no, it wasn't hard. It probably should have been. University, it didn't feel hard per se, other than when it comes to dissertation writing and final major projects. But me and my circle
of 50,000 words or something, or 500
it was
pages.
Lengthy. I think I ended up with like a 60-odd page document for my final dissertation. It wasn't actually received well. It was around technological advancements in the film industry and looking at things like AI and how we use mixed medium and 3D and how that was all growing exponentially back, 2012. So that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't received well.
I thought it was a new thing, but obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, it's always there's always been, I suppose that kind of forward thinking around technology and computer sciences and, Terminator 2, being the kind of reality we're walking towards, I think is always going to be very different to how the reality is actually going to be. So, everyone's guide that we don't have hoverboards yet, of course, like Back to the Future.
I think we do in Back to the Future, as you say.
Well, yes, this is it. No, but I mean, it's always going to change and be something different to what we expect it to be. But yeah, I think, don't know why, but it was pretty spot on, so I'm chuffed with that.
Oh, that's good. So you got a degree?
Yeah.
Good,
So I have 2 degrees, honours degrees.
Can't be bad then, can it? You did pretty well.
Not particularly well. I mean, I
You
only,
must have done.
I
You've
only
got your
skirted
degrees.
by 2-2.
It's better than nothing, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. I think I learnt more, I will say, from my peers than I did
Yes.
from the educational system as a whole.
Right.
I didn't particularly get on well with it. And I think a lot of people struggle with anxiety, I think, when it comes to exams and that kind of system.
Yeah.
But then saying that, I think this is my first year out of education because I've been in
Really?
education all the way through my professional life.
Right. So when you had friends at university, did you go out drinking? And...
Yes, very much so. I used to work for Frankie and Benny's as well, so that was a good environment. So yeah, it's kind of part and parcel. But I love that personability and hospitality. And I think working in that kind of environment, I think especially at Frankie and Benny's, they had really good family values.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, that was a good start in terms of career because I got to just talk to people but have fun with work kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was very, not laid back, but low pressure, I suppose.
You go in, do your job and go home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but no, drinking as such, I think students do drink, but that's never been my cup of tea.
No.
And I have a really high tolerance, I suppose, as well. So, yeah, I'm far from a cheap date.
I like that. He's not a cheap date.
No, I think drinking to excess isn't. No, I don't condone that.
No,
it's just a weird
absolutely
thing.
not,
I've been drunk like once on my 21st birthday, and that was enough for me to say, nah, I'm okay. Don't want to feel like that again.
No, you don't have control, do you, as such? So.
Yeah, and I think I've tried to be, I suppose, a responsible one, you know, in the group. So like the designated driver, but without the license, you know, so it was always just with my friends and then just kind of keeping them in check and getting them home safe and that kind of thing.
So do you drive now?
Nope, still do not drive,
No.
no, but that is going to change very quickly. I need to take that step. I've put it off for a while. I did start to drive when I was younger, but I have like, issues with my joints, rheumatoid arthritis and things like that. So I think it's been an excuse more than anything, you know, because sitting down for long periods, working the clutch and the gear stick and all of that, it's one of those things, it's maybe discomfort enough, but the way things are now, I think I need to drive to be able to get around the island, especially more conveniently.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm taking a step into that now.
So what happened after university? What did you do then?
I moved to the Isle of Wight. My mum was here. She wanted to be around family, so I have family on the island as well. So I come here. My mum lived in Wroxall at the time, and I experienced a massive kind of culture clash because coming from uni to arguably one of the quieter villages on the Isle of Wight, I was just, this is too isolating. I need to go back to London. So I was lucky. I got offered a job in the film industry as an usher at Pinewood Studios. So I ended up working there for a few years on bank, and then 3 years I was there in total.
Pinewood?
Yeah, Pinewood in Ivor Heath.
Was that interesting?
Oh, so interesting.
Did you meet famous people?
I did, yeah, quite a few actually. I got to work with the main people. So I was on The Voice mainly. So we had like Nicole Scherzinger, Tom Jones.
Sir Tom, please.
Sir Tom Jones, apologies, yes, of course. will.i.am, he was probably the most entertaining individual I've ever met. Guy's just full of energy, positivity.
He looks it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's such a nice guy, absolutely. I always remember, like, whenever I'd walk past, because, like, we'd cross in passing just so often, and I was, like, based around where his lot was, where he'd stay a lot of the time, and the guy was always dancing and vibing, and me just being a personable sort, I just saw a dude just driving in the corner, you know, I'm just like, what that guy's doing? Yeah, I like his vibe, you know, start bopping and then dancing, and he turns around, it's like, will.i.am. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it just become a thing that I just done randomly. Every time we cross paths, we do a little kind of jiggle and a dance.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I like it.
I think highlight of that time there was Jimmy Carr. He was absolutely hilarious. Anytime that gent come on site, he'd just be walking around ripping it out of everyone as he passed them. I suppose that's kind of how he prepped and just stayed on the ball and just stays like in tune with his funny side. It was
Right.
yeah, so he'd just be walking down the corridor, just popping into a room, and then that room would just burst into hysterics. And then he'd just walk out and go into the next room. Like, God knows where he was going or what he was doing, but yeah.
He was just doing it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so it was mainly the voice. So I done ushering, would help with like camera assistance and just kind of on-site ops. Mainly, yeah, it's just one of those things where something needs doing in an environment, and if you do and do well, you just go and help out when needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I managed to see and explore quite a lot while I was there. And
Sounds
I
good,
had a
yeah.
good team around me as well that were really kind of like encouraging and supportive. Yeah.
Can't be bad, can it?
But yeah, no, Pinewood was a lot of fun, I think, because I got to experience a lot, and I didn't really. I think it's the creme de la creme. When you come out of university to get a job in the film industry, it's like amazing.
Yeah.
But I suppose I was just like, oh, I'm just an usher. And then it wasn't until after the fact that I was like, oh yeah, I've done quite a lot there. And I suppose like people from my university were like asking me questions and things. And I was just like, it really is luck of the draw,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And you couldn't make it up. I just happened to, someone that worked with my mom, had a relative that worked at Pinewood. And then she'd mentioned that I just come out of university, struggling to find a job, that whole thing. Because the worst thing ever is you finish university, apply for a job, and they're like, you need X amount of experience.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, but how do I get the experience if no one will give me a chance, you know?
It's a catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was quite lucky like that. And,
So
yeah.
are you still in contact with will.i.am?
No, hardly. No, not at all. I think I do know a few celebrities, but just randomly. I suppose it's perks of like growing up in London. I
Yeah.
suppose you like grow up with people and then they become famous and
Yeah.
things like that. But yeah, no, I think I had kept contact with some people, but then numbers change and
Yeah.
you lose them. It's just meet them in passing one day maybe.
You never know, do you?
Never know.
Because will.i.am seems to be quite personable himself, doesn't he?
He is, yeah. He's
Quite
just
a
so kind.
philanthropist,
Yeah,
isn't
he has time for people, and that stands out. Because I think in that environment, you know, there's celebrities coming and going throughout the day, and there's a clear distinction between the people that are there for work and the people that are there as themselves. And we'll just give you time. And
Yeah.
if they're on the clock, you know, they're gutted that they have to leave promptly, but you know, they still make that time where they can, and it does. Yeah, I think it means a lot when you have that kind of personability to someone who's in the public eye. You know?
Yes.
Mm.
We're going to take a break now for some adverts and then we'll be back.
Vectis Radio.
After The Voice, what happened?
So I've done a few other shows and films.
Such as?
So a few of them didn't ever make it to air.
It doesn't matter,
So it's
does
just
it?
like
No?
random. So they'd be like all working titles and things. But I've done like some like ad queuing and stuff while I was there. I was
What's
pretty
that?
much a glorified.
What's ad?
Oh, so you have like a massive like 50 plus like track channel and mixer, and basically you just got to queue ads. It
Oh,
was
right.
the worst, and the pressure was just so intense because you have to do it like to the second.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I done some obs, and then I had to sit in a room for like an extended period of time. I was like, I really don't like this at all. So the second I had the option to jump on to carry some big power cables to another site, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Absolutely. It was like the task because these cables and wires are just so heavy and just industrial size. I was like, yeah, I'll do it all day, whatever you need. And I ran it through into this site, and there was like a massive piece of like maybe like fiberglass, like a good like 10-foot height or something. And yeah, and there was a whole load of artists and stuff around, and they were like assessing this build, which was going to be for Maleficent. So
Right, yeah.
it was like a mountain range that they were developing. And so I was just running cables for ages, and then it was a case of, oh, can you sweep this up? Or can you just like do this? Can you spray that? And then like by being there and being proactive, you just get tasked with all these cool kind of random jobs. So yeah, so by proxy, just worked on some cool films. There was like, Maleficent, that was cool.
Yeah.
The new Star Wars, I've done some bits on as well. I say the new one, this was like episode 7 at
Yeah.
the time. and they were doing like a whole load of underwater filming while I was there. They had like this big fish tank kind of thing, and it needed to be like kind of maintained, prepped, and make sure it was like still reflective and
Didn't
the lens
have to
could
get
pass
in
through. Definitely, like when it was all drained and everything, the cleaning duties of that were not pleasant. But yeah, like things like that. I think being in the environment, proactive, and just willing to work on things, you open yourself up to a lot of experiences.
Yeah.
So I got to work with some really cool people. You know, if like fetching water for Jessie J. You know, went some FaceTime with her. Absolutely amazing makeup artist. So there was this lady called Faye Sawyer who used to do Jessie J's makeup, and she was just an absolute gem and just so kind of on what she was doing. She's like a font of information, just lived and breathed makeup art and design and light aesthetics. And that's like probably the tip of the iceberg when it comes to her, but she gave me some time as well to just kind of be that fresh graduate kind of, oh, can I ask some questions kind of thing, you know? But it's all just like passing to them, you know. I doubt very much if I met anyone that I worked with for a good body of time, now they remember me. Well,
How old were you then?
Oh, I was just fresh out of uni, so I was like 21.
All right.
Yeah, 21, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. And that's probably what they'll
Rearing
remember
to
most.
go and do
Yeah,
stuff.
I was just like keen to get stuck in. I was like, oh, look at this. I mean, at first I was just like, oh, I'm just doing bits and pieces, like ushering, didn't think it was a big deal. And then you get on site and then it's just immediately a big deal because they run a very tight ship over there. But it was a great place to work and get
Time
experience.
is money, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah. I think there's no dragging your heels in an environment like that, or kind of, you do what you need to do and do it just amazingly, and you can kind of stay.
And what happened after that?
After that, I found the environment itself was, I think, what's a good way to put it? Like, not best for myself character building wise.
Right.
So I'd met my partner, who's my now wife, and it kind of, there was a moment where I was working like long hours, working late, working really sporadically, and just not being like the best version of myself for my future partner. So I was like, you know, we want to settle down, have kids one day. Let's not kind of sleep on that and proactively, you know, seek that out. And we'd met when I was still based on the Isle of Wight. And when I moved over to London, I initially stayed with her.
Yes.
So, yeah, we decided to come back to the island because that's kind of where we fell in love kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah, so we
How
left.
romantic.
It was actually, it was really sweet. It was like fairy tale type thing.
Did you get down on one knee?
So that's quite funny, actually. Yes. So we actually got engaged once I was in London. So that was like in the March. We'd only gotten together in the November because I was down in London for Thanksgiving. And we'd gotten engaged in the March. So I had a friend. Oh, it's a little bit embarrassing, but I had a friend who worked at the Dominion Theatre in London. And I said to him that I've met the girl of my dreams. I want to do a really kind of cool, extravagant proposal thing for her.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to see The Bodyguard, which is what, like, my wife is an amazing singer, loves musicals. She loved The Bodyguard. So I was like, right, we'll do it there.
Okay.
So so we got tickets, went to The Bodyguard. How it was supposed to work is during like the intermission when everyone gets up and stuff, I was going to get taken on stage and then do the proposal when it was all quiet, no one was there kind of thing. Apparently, when I'm really nervous, I fall asleep.
Right.
And we got there, it was all going perfectly, sat down, enjoyed the show, and I was so nervous about the proposal, I fell asleep, missed my cue.
Oh dear.
And just woke up to my friend standing down the aisle, kind of being like, what the heck? You know, not so many kind words. You know, what have you done? So I excused myself to go to the toilet just as the second half was about to start. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, what can we do? He's like, don't panic, it's fine. Right? Before the show ends, you're going to have to miss the end of the show. Come back, meet me here. I'll take you onto the stage. And then you can do your thing, meet the cast, crew. It'll be lovely, all romantic, stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool.
So you fell asleep again?
I fell asleep again and woke up in a hot sweat. My friend is absolutely livid with me. So I've gone, run up. He's like, I don't know what you're doing. This is not going well. Just grab your wife, bring her now, kind of thing. So I was like, oh, I had to kind of blag it. I can't remember exactly what I'd said to her, but I made some weird excuse to get her up to go, like, come down onto the stage area. And bless her, she was so mystified by the experience. She was looking at the environment and like the decorations and stuff. That journey, just walking down the stage, took so long. And we got there and everyone was kind of cleared out at this point. So like people were already exiting. So lost the kind of big standing ovation crowd thing. Hold my hands up to it. My own fault. I've tried to work on it since this random bouts of sleeping. So yeah, we're on the stage, and just as like the cast and crew have kind of like gone to wardrobe and everything, we're there, and the curtains are shut, and then I was just so nervous. I can't even remember what I said. The words must have just fell out of my mouth in the most awkward way. And then I got on my knee, and then she just knew then what happened. My friend like done the curtain thing, and there were still people there that saw what was happening on the stage. And the second I'd done that, like it was like dead silent, you know, and I'd done like the whole speech, told her how much I loved her, and then like showed her the ring, and then she was like, yes, and then like people started clapping, and it just broke the illusion. I was like, oh my God, there's still people here. Then I got mega shy and embarrassed, but yeah, that was the whole thing. I virtually ran out of the video theatre because I was so embarrassed, so excited at the same time.
She said yes.
She did, yeah, so I was so blessed for that, absolutely. But yeah, so that was that. So we had a picture taken, and yeah, it was just a lovely experience to do. I think I suppose it is quite grandiose, not the detail that I've just let the whole world know now, because I'd like when I talk about it, I leave a lot of that out. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, I got down on one knee and did the million. No, it was very much a hodgepodge experience.
Because you fell asleep.
We enjoyed it twice. Oh my gosh, so embarrassing. So yeah. So whenever I'm extra nervous now, I just make sure I dose up on caffeine, live on this stuff.
So when you got married, did you fall asleep because you were nervous?
No, actually. No. I wasn't nervous when I got married. It was like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I was really blessed. So I had a lot of my volunteer team and people in the community kind of work together to make my wedding even happen. So my mentor at the time, so I used to work at Aspire Ride, and I was mentored by now Reverend Heath Monaghan, and I had a conversation with him. I was like, look, I've been engaged for how many years was it? It must have been maybe like 8 years at this point. No, 5 years at this point. And I was like, I need to do this wedding thing, Heath. What should I do? He's like, oh, I know just the guy. And he gave a phone call up to the Reverend who was based up at All Saints Church. He was like, so, you know, I've got this, my apprentice, he wants to get married, you know, can he come to your church, have a chat, that kind of thing. And yeah, met him, spoke to him, because we weren't affiliated with a church and everything, so we wanted to have a church wedding. Went through that whole scheme of work, and it was like from then, that phone call, like, you know, I had like volunteers being like, oh, you getting married, how exciting, you know, I'll do your flower arrangement, and oh yeah, I'm really good at decorating, or I know someone that can do this, or someone that bake a cake, and it just all come together. And I actually had my reception at the in the community hall at Aspire.
Right.
And I had a music studio at the time, so we had like karaoke, we had like nice spread. And it was just really nice, because I was like, the people that I was working with were all part of the wedding, you know, and just them. And they've been a part of my life, like family life as well, just forever, because they were there when we were getting married, involved in the wedding. And then when I had my little ones, like, they printed out an ID badge for him. He was like 8 months old, you know, we had a big barbecue. So it was really nice community feel, you know, it's nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, so, and yeah, and it was, I mean, working in the third sector is not notoriously well paying. So it was great that everyone coming together. It was just like really, we didn't break the bank on a big magical wedding.
No.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's just as good, isn't it?
Yeah,
than spending
absolutely.
thousands and thousands.
But then it's like really cool things as well. So I had one of the volunteers that I was working with at the time, my surrogate grandma, as it were, Helen Blake, who runs the aviation museum now. She was an absolute godsend on the day. Not only did she coordinate the group, you know, volunteers and decorate the community hall just so beautifully. But she also secured like a wedding vehicle. It was like an old school, call it like a Bugsy Malone car.
All right.
It was like, do you know the type I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so
With
it was,
running boards and everything.
yeah, it was beautiful. And it was either that or a tank. I'd offer, I was this close to the tank. But yeah, so yeah, we had another friend who done photography for us. He's sadly passed, but yeah, he done a whole kind of photography spread and literally stopped traffic on the pier and ride just so we could have some like picture perfect moments, because it was cloudy kind of day. We got married in March, and then there was just a beautiful burst of sunshine after we'd done the whole wedding thing. He was like, quick, get in the car, we'll go here. And he just took us down to the Esplanade and yeah, done a little photo shoot with us. It was just lovely because the sun was beaming through. It was such a cool experience. Yeah, getting married. Nice.
So you enjoyed the day?
It was a beautiful day. Yeah, it was lovely.
Did your now wife enjoy the day?
I think so. No, yeah, she did. She did, yeah.
She was there then?
She definitely was, yeah. And neither of us arrived late.
Good.
Yeah. Don't know how we managed that one, because there's a running joke that I'll probably be late to my own funeral, to be honest.
It won't matter, will it? So you got married. And then what happened?
And then I've pretty much just worked in charity, like lived and breathed community.
Right.
Prior then, but as a family man doing that. So it's always a balance, like work, personal life. I've kind of merged the two. Don't know how healthy that is, but you know, like all my families and friends are just people that I've worked with in the community that we maintain contact.
Yeah.
You know? It's just like, yeah. So yeah, it's nice because my little ones, I mean, they've grown up in the community. When just before they were born, I was developing the soft play at Aspire, and it was great because from the moment they were born, they've had access to that great community resource. You know.
So how old are they now?
So my oldest, he's just about to turn 8 on the 25th of June, and my youngest, that's here now is going to be 7 in October, but I have one on the way in a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
5-week countdown.
Do we know what it is?
It's another boy.
Right.
Somehow. Yeah. So, yeah. Then you got a 5-a-side football team.
Nearly, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got 2 boys, 1 on the way. And yeah, I think, it's just because I've always worked kind of long hours, but there's a lot of socialising involved in that as well, especially in my capacity at Aspire. So I was like head of people and culture, so it was like very much public facing, engaging, collaborative, for a long time.
Yeah.
But I've always been very much operational, an operational manager. That was my last qualification, was in that. So I just finished an apprenticeship with HTP, I want to say last year. It was like the year before. It was like the end of the year. Graduated from there, level 5 in operational management.
Can't be bad, can it?
Yeah,
Did that involve a thesis?
Yeah.
Not quite so long though, I bet.
I think if it did, I can't honestly remember. The worst part of that whole course was securing my maths qualification. Maths is not my strong suit at all. And that took me like an extra 6 months, and I'm probably being generous there. Failed it like 3 times. But yeah, it was an experience, and managed to secure it just before they changed the rules, which meant you didn't need your level 2 or 3 in maths to secure your qualification. But at least now I have that good foundational knowledge and skill set around maths.
Absolutely. Well done you.
Thank you.
We can take another break now for some adverts, then we'll be back.
Vectis Radio.
I'm back here with JD. No, you were at Aspire.
Yeah.
Did you do anything before then?
I did. So when I first moved to the island, I needed, I had a not unfortunate, how to put this tactfully. So I was working in hospitality as well as bank work at Pinewood still.
Yeah.
So I had somewhere to transfer over to. And the place that I was transferring to didn't receive me very well.
Oh, all right.
I won't mention any names.
No, it's fine.
They didn't want me to be their new bar manager. basically, long story short, and kind of turned me away before I even got to like
Right.
into the building, touch base with management or anything like that. But I was like, you know what, that's fine, you know. So my
Was that here on the island or in London?
yeah, here on the island.
right,
So I was
okay.
working as a bar supervisor at the time, and I was moving to the island. So I was like, oh yeah, secure job to look forward to. Had a place, so I transferred my council tenancy over to back to the island, and then and that didn't materialise. So I was a little bit, you know, dejected, a bit like,
miffed,
oh,
yeah.
So I got a quick job as a healthcare assistant at a care home,
All right.
and I'd done that whilst developing my own studio. I found that balance. So I was working nights, and then during the day I'd, you know, work on developing my studio and building a client base and things. But it become a thing where a lot of my clientele were overseas, so there was like a bit of a timing
difference,
issue there. Because I was working nights, I basically just lived at night time, and as a result, I become really socially isolated. So I remember my mom at the time, she was like, you know, go check out this really cool charity that started up in Ryde, you know. And this was it was only a few months after they'd first like opened their doors to the community kind of thing. And I put it off, and yeah, I kind of hit a wall with setting up my studio. So I had a big PC, the graphics card blew on that, so I couldn't render out any animation or stuff. So I had to, with funds I had, like cobble together a really kind of cheap but efficient PC to keep like doing my workload until I got my next payment. And then halfway through this like big project, that blew as well.
Oh dear.
Because I just overdone it in rendering it, like tried to just stretch it too far. And it was literally one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? You know? So I took a walk. I lived in Ryde at the time. I just took a walk, and it was the same walk that I'd done for like 10 years because it just took me to Dover Street in Ryde. And I was like, oh, that's that place where Mom kept banging on about. So I popped my head in, and I was like, oh, do you need help with anything? I've seen your website is a bit pants, so I can help with that. It was full of hubris, like fresh out of kind of working in the film industry. And I met Jules Monahan, and she was just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, here's a form and stuff. Like, you know, fill that in, bring it back, kind of thing. But let me just mention you to Heath, you know, who sat there. And then, so she disappeared. I looked around a little bit. I was like, oh, this church is falling apart. And then, yeah, Jules come back, and she was like, oh yeah, he said he'll have a chat with you if you have time. So I was like, yeah, brilliant. So I went over to him, like, had a chat with him, told him everything I was doing, and saying that I was looking for a bigger studio space kind of thing. And he was like, oh yeah, that's, yeah, brilliant. I have a whole space downstairs that used to be a studio, isn't really running now, you know, and it's becoming a tip space. So help me sort that out. You know, you can have the space, pay, you know, cover your core costs and everything, keep your profit and grow your studio from there. But, you know, help me out with some volunteering. So I was like, absolutely. And then I'd done that for about 6 to 8 months or so. And then I suppose something just clicked, and I got offered a job. Basically, it was don't know if it's appropriate to say or not, so cut it if it sounds a bit too untoward, but he was basically like, what do you get? Like, what's your take home, you know, at the end of the month? And I was like, oh, it's X amount. He's like, I'll give you this if you come and work with me and be my apprentice leader kind of thing, and I'll train you up and, yeah, continue to be helpful to me. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a plan. And I didn't realise as a result of that, the studio that I developed then become a community resource that's gone on to see like multiple sites across the island now, all around youth engagement and providing a platform for people. And yeah, I kind of went on that journey. Heath left Aspire, and we had a new CEO come into post and worked with them. Just basically organisationally, just, yeah, living and breathing it for 10 years. So I do miss the wide community.
10 years?
Yeah, it was,
wow.
Give or take a few months, yeah. So it was a long time. And because of working with people that, you know, fall into dire need and in such a high ward of deprivation, it was, you know, you work quite closely with people so consistently that over those 10 years, you know, of course, you build a good amount of rapport with people that you're working with. So that's a journey that I'm on now in Newport, you know, still kind of getting to know the community that I'm serving and working with, you know.
And the community you're serving now is?
Yes, so it's I mean, the visually impaired and hearing impaired across the Isle of Wight, really and truly. So at Sight for Wight, we're a sight loss charity, supporting, you know, around 1,000 islanders with a visual loss or blindness, and yeah.
What made you apply for this job then?
It was probably being in the same place of work for 10 years. I'd never been in a kind of environment for that long before,
Yeah.
you know, and kind of, I had an interesting journey because I started as an apprentice leader, and then I become a centre manager, and then an executive. So I was head of people and culture, head of operations, like twice, as per like charity requirements, you know. So yeah, it was kind of my time, because I'd seen it through the kind of life cycles of two CEOs, and at the time I didn't really want to be a CEO. I always thought I was better as a kind of like, you know, supporting the CEO, you know,
Right.
just because of operationally, you know, excelling and working hard, that kind of thing. Like, I feel like I was good at that.
But now you're a CEO.
But now I am a CEO, yeah. It was really strange how it all happened and materialised, because I'd said to my chief exec at the time, I was like, you know, I don't want to become stagnant, and everything that I was doing just felt like it was just like autopilot. I was
Yes.
lacking that purpose. I couldn't grow myself or the things that I wanted to grow in the way that I wanted to or feel like they needed to.
Yeah.
It was kind of a question of how much impact am I really having in the community now, you know, as I went from doing, you know, public facing and, you know, project building to, well, it was a large project that I was doing operational wise. I was working on developing the 7-bed housing support up at the community hub in Ryde.
Yeah.
And that was kind of me like phasing out of the organisation, because it was nice to get hands-on with things. It was just a lot of admin.
Yes.
And yeah, I thought I needed a fresh challenge. And yeah, it was being within the environment at Aspire. I love the charity to bits and the people there, but I just didn't think I was giving it 110%.
Yeah, gotcha, yeah.
So I was like, let me try and do something else. So I applied for another job somewhere that wasn't successful. And I thought, oh, this would be a good way to stress test what my gaps are and what I need to improve by applying for Sight for Wight. So I sent an application through, and then that's when I took on the kind of HMO project as being hands-on. Sorry, not HMO project, scratch that. Not HMO, I have to say that. It was the housing project in
Yes.
Ryde. And yeah, that's when I kind of got stuck in hands-on with that. So I didn't end up following up the application through. I was just kind of like looking for feedback, I suppose, or some FaceTime to see what would be needed, because I didn't think they'd be like, oh yeah, he'll be a good CEO. So I come in. I got an email back from the chair asking why I didn't follow through the application, and I was like, really sorry, I'm working on this big project at the moment. You know, I'm really busy. And they were like, oh, but even still, like, come down. It'd be nice to talk to you, kind of thing. So I was like, all right, okay. She was like, what availability do you have? Like, can you make this time? And I was like, I can try, but I'll be coming straight from work, kind of thing. So I was in my overalls, covered in paint, like all over me in my hair. And I come and I met with like the trustees. And I was just so embarrassed, because it was a conversation around doing the job, not really like stress testing my capabilities. And I was like, oh my word, that's interesting. So we went through the process, and I got to speak to my predecessor, Lisa, who is absolutely just amazing.
Yeah.
And people had said to me when like I was transparent about where I was going and things, they were like, you've got big shoes to fill. And I was like, yeah, I can kind of see why, because oh my word, like she was the first blind child accountant in the UK, I believe, back in the 90s. And you know, you spend 5 minutes with her in her office, and you can just see like she's, I won't say better, because I think we need to have a good managed expectation, but she's as good as, at least on a computer, as I am. And I have like a degree in computers, you know what I mean? So it's like just seeing how she's working on the computer, just how quick and efficient she is. I was like, geez Louise, like I've got big feet, but they are big shoes, you know. But yeah, I'm so grateful for the time that she's given me and the opportunity as well that she's offered me in kind of taking reins of this organisation and working. I think it was more so my historical journey of, you know, being with Aspire, from it being grassroots, and now, you know, it's £1 million organisation, and I've been within that organisation for so long, you know, and yeah, consistently good feedback from, you know, people in that community, you know, be it the mayor, you know, my employers, because there's a work ethic thing that's really important to me. You know, my mother is absolutely crazy when it comes to work. She still works now, you know, she doesn't take time off. She's just always like the kind of over and above type of individual, and that's what I've grown up with. It's kind of like, if you're working, you give it 110% as best as you can, you know.
Yeah. So are you enjoying it here?
Loving it. There's nothing better than working with that sense of passion and purpose, you know. When you finish the day, that's the difference between working in hospitality. You have fun in the moment and you can serve people, but you're meeting people's needs. When you work for charity, you're literally having an impact in people's lives.
Yes.
And you have to control how positive that impact is.
Yeah.
And I think because the community has been a part of my life since being on the island, you know, as I said, like with the wedding and with my little ones, you know, I think it's ingrained in me that the island is very small in the grand scheme of things, you know, and there's only so many people, I think 142,000, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And how great would that be to know each of those individuals by name?
Yeah.
But more than that, how great is it
I
that
think
you're
it would
able...
blow your brain.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm terrible with names as well. But it's like the fact that you can just work with people. Everyone's on their own journey, right? And people need help. And if you're not helping people, what are you doing? You know, people help in different ways. You know, they'll donate to charity. They'll give their time to charity, you know. But I think, I couldn't be anywhere else like a standard 9 to 5. Just, we're not fly, because it's that sense of passion and purpose. You know, you work with the community, for the community, and it makes a better community that, you know,
certainly does.
The children can grow up in.
So what's next?
What's next? I think, I mean, my passion is supporting the kind of underrepresented us. How do you say that? So I think it's with a lot of what I've learned. There's been a lot of learning in this role, no question, because working for charity in general, at Aspire, you know, we worked with people with poor mental health, low household income, people that fell into dire need. You know, here at Sight for White, it's people with sensory loss, you know. The charity itself, you know, deals with people with vision impairment and blindness, you know. But we have a council contract where we support people with hearing loss as well. And there's a lot of learning that goes into that. But with the learning, I think it's the understanding that I've come away with, which is like, oh my gosh, I've been so inconsiderate in how I have done things, you know. It's things like, you know, on bin day, for example, you're ruining someone's day by just keeping your bins out there. I'll be like, it'll be fine till I get home and then I'll wheel it in. But that could legitimately trip someone up. Same as like overparked like cars on the curb, you know, things like that. You don't think about it until you experience it or see it, you know. And I think there's a lot of, is persecution the right word? I don't know. It's like there's people that need help. And as a society, we are all quite introverted, insular, and I think inconsiderate in a lot of ways. And what I'm trying to challenge is that awareness piece, right? Because we're only inconsiderate because we don't know any better. And how do we empathize with someone who can't see? That's really hard to do. I mean, it was like first week here, I was led around Newport blindfolded. And that teaches you something about the kind of struggle that a lot of people that we're around, you know, face day to day. So, that experience, you know, the kind of sighted guide training and things like that, I find it really empowering as an individual to know that if I encounter someone who could need help, is helping them appropriately. You know what I mean? Because there's a right way and wrong way to help people, of course, you know. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I think knowing exactly how we can best help people, that's not a bad way to be.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for doing this interview. Do you have a favourite track we could play at the end?
Oh,
There's one you can think about if you like and email me or whatever.
First one that come into my head, and it's probably a little bit cheesy, but it's Treasure by Bruno Mars.
Yeah,
because that is my wife's favourite song.
Is it?
Yeah, well, that's like our song, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, but shout out to Freddie Mercury as well, because absolutely amazing. Love Queen. So either of those is great.
Brilliant. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
If you would like to hear this or any other of the conversations again, go to the Vectis Radio webpage, vectisradio.com, and you can find it amongst the podcasts.
Vectis Radio.
Hello. One of the many misconceptions about having a visual impairment is that you couldn't possibly be interested in places like art galleries, museums, stately homes. Surely, the theory goes, it's only worth visiting such places if you can see what's in them. Well, the truth is very different. Often it's a lack of accessibility rather than a lack of interest on our part, which is the barrier. That being so, we were interested to learn that with a grant from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, the charity Vocalise has delivered a programme of innovative training sessions as part of their Describing Heritage project at 10 locations around the country. The training uses a model called the Workshop for Inclusive Co-Created Audio Description, developed by Professors Hannah Thompson and Alison Erdley. The concept, based on a collaborative approach, challenges the idea that the best way to describe things is to use visual language. Well, we were intrigued. How would that work? What's the evidence for it? Well, the last of the 10 sessions was recently held in London, and we sent our reporter, Fern Lulham, herself an experienced audio describer, along to try to unpick it for us.
I would say it's both a quiet and overwhelming place at the same time. There's a lot of energy, lots of people moving around. You kind of feel like you're in your little bubble as you move through the spaces. The sense of space, I think, is definitely something I noticed moving through.
How would you describe the National Gallery?
Chatty school children or excited tourists. Each space has so many different sounds based on the shape of the room and the people inside each room.
I loved that some of the gallery rooms are flooded in natural light.
I guess for me it's got this amazing sense of grandness, cavernous spaces, but this sort of contrasting, like, hushed concentration.
You don't really know where to look because of the sounds coming from all the directions at you all of the time. If you can trust yourself to it, that can be really fun.
You get the picture. Over the past few months, the charity Vocalise have been working with staff from heritage sites, museums and galleries, along with blind and visually impaired visitors, to produce co-created audio descriptions. The process involves the curators and the blind participants having in-depth conversations about various objects, artefacts, spaces and pictures. These then form the foundation for descriptions which include multi-sensory, emotional and experiential interpretations. I went along to one of these workshops at, you've guessed it, the National Gallery, and spoke to the project manager of Describing Heritage, Vocalise's Lindsay Bywood, to find out more.
So the workshops are 2 days. On day one, it's the museum professionals, and we do a sort of mixture of visual awareness training and co-created audio description training. And then on day two, we have blind and visually impaired people that come. And together, the groups then will co-create audio description. We record the outputs of the group discussions. The museum professionals then will take those transcripts and use them to generate the co-created audio description, which will then be recorded. We are hosting all of the audio descriptions on our new website, which will be launched in the autumn.
In what ways is it different to traditional audio description?
So in traditional audio description, it's created by a trained sighted describer for a blind audience, whereas this is co-created by blind, visually impaired and sighted people for any audience. Research has shown that audio description is beneficial to everybody. There was a sort of side aim to enable the museums and heritage sites to form connections with local groups, and that's really worked. Today, somebody came and said, well, we want to run some art groups. They want to collaborate with some of the blind and visually impaired people that have come today to run art groups at the National Gallery.
If the participants don't have any sort of formal training in audio description, is there a danger that some people might see that as kind of undermining trained audio describers that have kind of been honing their craft for a long time, perhaps?
This is not intended to criticise traditional audio description. There are some people in the blind and visually impaired community who prefer traditional audio description, and that's absolutely fine and as it should be. So there's a place for all of us. We need more access, not less.
So the process has 3 steps. The first one is our initial impressions. We're not going to walk you up to something and say, this is a 16th century suit of armour that was worn by Henry VIII on this battlefield. We might simply say, this is a large suit of armour. Initially, sometimes people feel a tiny bit frustrated by that, because you're going to go, well, Amy, what is it? Who used it? Where did it go? When was it made? But those are the questions I want you to ask your facilitator, because you are going to help us build the description and build the picture.
And it's always very, very interesting, the response that people first give when they're not being swayed or influenced by the expert knowledge.
Speaking of seasoned professionals, I was keen to catch up with the workshop trainers, accessibility consultant Amy Kavanagh, and someone who has been an audio describer for 25 years, Claire LeMay.
As someone who's done a lot of traditional audio description, I kind of approach it from like, well, what am I going to include and what order am I going to include it in? But then you realise that people can come at things from all kinds of different angles, and sometimes what comes up is not what you'd expect.
What would you say makes someone a good audio describer as someone who does it themselves?
Being generous and open-minded, actually, is one of the most valuable things you can bring to it, because the more people can share their own lived experiences of why they're responding to something in a certain way, the more that stimulates the discussion and the more that provides other people in the group with new ways of relating to the artwork.
There are 2 trainers in the project, myself, Amy Kavanagh, as the blind co-trainer. What I really like about co-creation is that it is disability-led, and it centres and empowers blind and visually impaired people to lead the conversation. So often when you go into museum spaces, you are the passive observer. You have to accept the narrative that a sighted person has given you about what's important or what is worth seeing or knowing about. Whereas this completely flips that on its head.
We're obviously in the National Gallery today, and there's kind of such a visual aspect to it that I wonder, how do you explore pictures in that way?
So yeah, I think that's a challenge that lots of people are curious about. How does a group of blind people describe a painting? It almost sounds like a setup for a joke, doesn't it? We interrogate it. So within each group there's always a balance of people who have different levels of vision, different perception, and we have a sighted curator with us who we can question, we can quiz, and they will give us information that we then press, layer, and actually in that process with our education curator here today was describing a landscape to us. We'd talked about a fantastic, idyllic, interesting, curious story of these people with their big fat cow. They're kind of like square with a head.
Well, it sounds like you milked it for all it's worth.
Got a bit meta, really. We'd invented a story about something we couldn't see, but the painter in the first place had never seen that place because they also made it up. So it was kind of a beautiful full circle moment. Okay, who's he aiming at, Kevin?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked this because we've noticed when we've looked at this, the other gallery educators, if we stand on this side, to us, it looks like he's aiming at the ducks. And if we stand where you guys are, it looks like he's aiming maybe at the cows and people.
You have these conversations and then you're kind of translating them onto the page into a concise description. How do you go about that? That sounds like quite a difficult thing to do.
Well, that's down to the museum professionals we've been working with. We are offering editorial support for that. They've had a lot of practice at having to write, labels and panel information and having to distill down all this information. Everybody from the museums have been so inspired by this. They're actually quite enjoying this process of taking all this new material and these new approaches that perhaps they might not have come across before and actually trying to represent that in a description.
If you can feel the rope, just move round to your left, so orientate to your left, that's it, brilliant. Yeah. And now you're directly in front of the painting.
Yeah, if anybody would like to start.
There's a skull.
Skull and something red as well. It's on the far right of the painting. It's by his left knee.
Oh, actually, I can see a splash of red, but I can't see the skull.
I was wondering if that was supposed to be a hat or something.
A hat? I know this sounds silly. Is that hat on the skull?
So it's kind of tangled, the skull, isn't it?
It's kind of like a skull sandwich.
Back upstairs in the training room, I got chatting to some of the museum professionals, starting with Elsa Hendry from the Museum of the Home.
Based on my training, a lot of it is trying to visually identify things, the way that things are dated, the way that things are made. I've always seemed to rely on my eyes to do a lot of that work. And I think some of the comments people have made about the way that things feel, noticing different details that if I was just looking at something that would kind of get overlooked. When you look at object cataloguing, the reason why it's got, I'm going to use the word boring, description, but I find it quite interesting because we have about 40,000 objects in the collection. We have a way that we approach doing an object description so that there is a standardization across the collection. And for us, that's a really important part of ensuring that we can keep track of all the objects in the collection. I'm keen to kind of question how we can do a bit of both.
So it's very bumpy, isn't it, on the edges? Do you know, it reminds me of a stick of chewing gum. I don't know if anyone said that.
Shape.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
I thought bus ticket, but chewing gum's much better.
My name is Jamie Starr and I am the Collections Manager at Queer Britain, the UK's LGBTQ plus history museum. The queer community has significantly higher rate of disability, so it's about 1 in 3 for the queer community as a whole. I feel like it's really important that we make the museum as inclusive as possible, as early as possible. As a deaf person, I prioritise different levels of information in a certain order. I assumed that we'd be talking about colour and then we'd be talking about texture. That didn't happen at all. I think that my assumption was that I needed to do a hierarchy, essentially, of what information to give. And the emotions that we were talking about, they were really, really personal. It's something that if I was describing it to a friend, I would do, but if I was describing it to someone I didn't know, I'd maybe hold back on that information. So knowing that that's something people prioritise was really helpful. Whenever I'm putting our collection online, I'm digitising it currently. It is one of my absolute mandatory things that has to happen. It has to have a description of the object. These descriptions are going to be a lot better now I've been to this workshop. This kind of exploded my idea of what needs to go into it, and I'm very excited about that.
Because it's embossed. I can't read those ones on that side, but that one definitely says bean slice.
I can remember my mum using it.
Oh.
Yeah, and the beans come out, it's like...
Access production isn't always funded, and that's something which isn't particularly well understood outside of the industry. A lot of our funding as museums as a whole comes from grants. If we don't already know that we have visitors with particular access needs that we want to prioritise because they're already in our audience group, it's very hard to convince some of the grant funders that we need that funding so that we can make it more accessible. So it becomes like this horrible vicious cycle.
Is there something that you feel would be beneficial for blind and visually impaired people to understand from a curator's point of view? You know, what do you need from us?
Going up to the people who are invigilating the galleries and saying, I'd love to know more about how this fabric feels, for instance, or what does this paper say below the headline which you have transcribed. That's really helpful because then we can work on that. So not being shy about saying, this is good, but this bit could be better. We're always wanting to do better, and we can only do that if we know what we're not doing well.
Of course, I was most curious to find out what some of the prospective users thought of this new approach and how helpful they find audio description in general. So I spoke to two of the blind co-creators, Ian and Shalini.
I haven't used it much before because I wasn't aware it was there and I wasn't exposed before of that, in my country. So being back here, I've really been recently enjoyed it. The little details that I would have missed with my eyes.
To be perfectly honest, I think a few years ago, I would not really go to a museum because it didn't really attract me. Things behind glass cases with small taglines on them about what they are didn't mean anything to me. I was just staring at a glass case. Fast forward a few years now and projects like this describing heritage brings that all into focus. I think we're pushing against an open door now. Curators, museums and galleries, they're all very keen to look at how they can make something more inclusive.
Have you ever been involved in creating audio description before, or is this your first time?
First time, yeah. At the beginning, we were told, there's no right, wrong answers. So I think being in a group and you're in the same boat, so you can just be free and speak.
It's very much like interviews. The first one you do, you're very nervous about. You're wondering if you're saying the right things and can you do a retake. But the more you do it, the more you feel confident that you're able to capture a message. And I think it's the same with audio description.
And what is it like to actually be asked to be part of that creation process?
Empowering is the best word that I can use for it. I think maybe some people that are visually impaired go around with audio description and don't really understand the amount of work that goes into it. Whereas when you're involved in it, you realise how precise it has to be. And what we've been able to do with our lived experience is show how it can be enhanced and improved.
There you go.
Thank you. Oh, it's quite heavy. That's my initial reaction.
Matches your dress a bit. Is you wearing a green dress?
I am wearing a green dress. I did this on purpose, you see, just to coordinate.
Is this something to do with the wheels, for a car? Ian?
Huh?
Did you ever drive?
No.
Never.
I wanted to, but the government won't let me.
Oh.
And staying true to the theme of us all having varied perspectives, everyone had their own unique take-home message.
I've been struck by how much energy and commitment and enthusiasm there has been from everybody to this really quite different way of working for most people, to thinking about things in a different way, to learning about disability and to learning about disability first approaches and just thinking about a different way of approaching access.
It made me want more connection with the people who will be using the audio description. It's made me more aware of the value of that. And yes, it's just reminded me what a joy it is to work in a collaborative way. Because it's quite lonely being an audio describer sometimes.
Blind people are really good at creating their own audio descriptions. This doesn't need to be a passive one-way street. When we are the centre, when we are co-creating it, it is richer and more enjoyable and more effective than it just being one voice who gets to be an authority.
Involving communities earlier on in terms of all kinds of different kinds of accessibility is the best way to make it more accessible. Whether you're sighted or partially sighted or not sighted, everybody experiences things differently.
Making accessibility better needs to come from staff as a whole seeing it as their responsibility throughout an institution.
We have to find ways in which we can include people and make it relevant to them, and actually sort of getting curators and museums and other venues involved. I think it's an educational, cathartic experience for them, and it's great for us to have the opportunity to show just how much we can help and showcase their talents as well.
If you're going to go to a museum or you want to go somewhere, speak up and have a good experience. Don't miss out on it because you have this disability. Push on and achieve something.
So, with all that in mind, how would you describe the National Gallery?
It's air-conditioned.
The National Gallery's Kevin Christensen ending Fern Lulham's report and giving people perhaps another reason for turning up at the National Gallery this week, just to keep cool. And that's it for today. As always, we would be interested to hear your thoughts on anything you've heard in the programme, and particularly your own experiences of accessibility at museums, galleries, stately homes. Did the audio description give you what you wanted to know? You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk or leave voice messages on 0161 836 1338. From me, Peter White, and producer Beth Hemmings, goodbye.
The Scaffolding and Skips News, week commencing 17th of August 2026. Newport area. 62 St James's Street. Roach Pittis, 60 to 66 Lugley Street. 121 St James's Street. And 55 New Street. Newport area skips, 36 Chapel Street and 98 Caesars Road.
Ride area, 141 High Street, Morrison's Daily in Union Street, 53 Union Street, 5 Union Street, NatWest Bank, St Thomas's Square, 5 Weeks Road, 3 Union Street, Beachcomber, opposite the Seaview Beach Shop in Seaview. And ride area skips, 115A High Street, 31 George Street, 33 Alfred Street and 5 Nelson Place.
Cowes and East Cowes area, the Parade Public Toilets, Bath Road, Eramew Court, Bridge Road and 29 Cross Street.
Ventnor area, Ventnor Youth Centre, Victoria Street, Rose Inn Pier Street and 9 Spring Hill.
Sandown area, 27 High Street, Alveston Farmhouse, Main Road, Alveston, Old Town Hall, High Street, Brading.
And in the Yarmouth area, Wheatsheaf Lane.
Totland area, Dolphin Cottage, Totland Bay.